Broodcast on Poets at War, Inkling-style Discord chat, last Friday of every month. And now, the Broodcast.
She said she was trying to type BRB. She typed BRT. I think we're using Ian's computer. And I said bacon, lettuce, and tomato. It was so dumb. Anyway.
Yep.
Oh boy. I've been so dad jokey lately with stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, hey, you get to.
Yes.
You're
exactly.
that.
Exactly. Oh goodness. The Peter's chiropractor, she does the thing with the kids where it's like, I think I found some popcorn here, you know, that kind of thing. That's what she calls it and he calls it popcorn adjustments because he hears the adults talking and hears the word adjustment. So he puts two and two together and calls them popcorn adjustments. I just thought you'd find that cute.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Kids are so much smarter than adults give them credit for most of the time.
Oh, absolutely. So be perfectly honest. Can you tell a difference over the compression of Discord with this mic or no?
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit? Yeah.
Like, really tiny amount. I can't... Comparing them side by side, I probably could.
Right.
And because I've listened to so much of the other stuff with you talking, I can like recall a pretty decent memory of the sound quality.
Right.
Previously.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's super minor.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Even on, full quality recording, it's a very minor thing, but it does this awesome. I have it has a couple different settings. There's a flat mode, there's a bass roll off, which takes the bass away, which is not what I like. I like my bass is already voicey, so, or my voice is already bassy. So I lean into that. But the other thing it has is what they call a presence boost, which kind of boosts the middle. It's a weird thing. And so I have the presence boost on and the bass roll off. And that presence boost is the real difference. When I have it turned off, it's almost identical. Like you can tell the tiniest jump in quality to that ATR 2100, which is like max price you can buy it for now on eBay is like $60. It's amazing how good those things are. But the nice thing is, can you tell the sound rejection difference or is it adjusted? Yeah. Like you can sit here and move this around all you want and whatever else, and you can hear when I get all over here and over here and over here and over here. I'm taking speak. I mean, the sound rejection is unbelievable on this thing because of the way it's built. So, yeah, I'm a fan.
Okay, I can tell.
So it makes my voice sound that much better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, so where's Debbie and them? Is she off camera or?
Debbie is finishing up her shower right now, I believe. And then everybody else is gone to a play except for her mom, who is upstairs working on her school stuff.
Cool.
She's going for a bachelor's in Christian studies, I think.
Okay.
Could be wrong.
Interesting. If you got like free college classes and could get a free like basic bachelor degree kind of thing, what would you get?
Probably liberal arts of some form.
Yeah.
Yeah. So some form of liberal arts degree. Give me an excuse, not an excuse. Give me a reason to actually study all the classics that I want to study.
Right. Yeah.
Basically, because that's what I want to do.
I would either do that or probably just a business degree. Something really basic like that. Just to have some of the business math,
Yeah, that's fair.
Just for the
I
utility
just really hate
of it.
math.
Oh no, I would hate it. I would hate the entire experience of doing it. But like just for the sake of having something, a piece of paper and a little bit of knowledge, I would probably go for one of my weaker areas, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's fair. Yeah. I can appreciate that. I probably wouldn't, just because if I don't know. If I'm not enjoying it, I'm probably not going to do it.
I understand that.
Like that's it. There.
Yeah, I totally feel that. I feel like if it was thrown in my lap, it would be such a gift. Hello. That I would just have to
Completely.
be responsible with it.
Do you want to switch? Here.
Yeah, we're waiting on everybody. I don't know what's going on.
That is the opposite ear. This one.
I said, yeah, we're waiting on everybody. I don't know what's going on. It has a pretty good pickup pattern for everything, just so you know. You may not even need to take it, you know, anywhere but you. Oh, you have two. Okay, it's one of those.
Yep.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep. It is. That's why I kind of grabbed this one instead of my regular JLab mic.
Right.
Just because. There we go. Having the ability to have, you know, both labs on. Very nice.
Did he play? Oh, here we go. We got Ian's computer. Is it
Ian.
alive? Are they alive?
Hello.
Are they here? There it is.
Yes.
Hello, friends. We could hear your fans
Yep.
briefly.
Hello, enemies.
Hello, friend.
Dang, I haven't even done anything to you yet.
Notice the yet.
Right.
Yet.
Oh, there was Stygian blackness for a moment. It was very, it was very on brand.
Yes.
Oh,
What were you
goodness.
saying before, Joshua?
I don't remember. Oh, what was it about?
Something about the mics.
No, I was asking Debbie if she had heard what your two Poets at War audio pieces that your two little reviews. She's heard the long version
yet.
though, probably.
She has heard the long version of both of them. She's heard me rant and rave about Guardians of Atlanta and what was the other one that I did? Out of the Ashes. I'm not actually sure that she's heard my Out of the Ashes rant yet.
I'm sure I will at some point.
She will.
It's inevitable.
Pretty much. So how are you, Ian? Mostly.
I'm all right.
Yeah. You've been enjoying.
Yeah, I'm good.
You've been enjoying my dulcet tones upon thine audiobook.
Yes, I have. Been enjoying that very much. Hearing that story again.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, that one really. I think that was some of my best work. Was in the Sword of Emrys.
You have a lot of fantastic character work and banter in that one.
Banter?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
Oh, thank you.
Ooh.
Yep.
Okay.
Let me see.
Whenever the audiobook's done, I'm going to have to buy it.
Yep.
Did I hear
That's
banter?
the one
You
where
did
I
hear banter.
Ooh.
What'd you say, Ian?
That's the one where I introduced the Irishman Donald and Connell.
Oh, yeah.
And
You have Donald and Connell, the Irishman?
okay, so
Calm
I
down.
needed I needed Irish brothers
Don't wanna be
who were
looking at it all the
time.
time.
And I needed names for them. So I said,
I'm just gonna
okay, I'll
quickly
just
see
name
your
them after
picture.
those guys from Lutheran Satire.
Sure.
It's like I'll just use it as a working name until I come up with something better. And then I never came up with anything better.
That's a perfectly valid way to do that.
Here,
And if Hans Feeney finds out and he's pissed. I don't know what I'm gonna do. But
What? You're not Lutheran?
He probably won't be.
He'll probably be more mad that you're not Lutheran and watching his videos. You're Reformed-ish.
I don't think so. I think that he's,
No, we just like
to
joke about that because he likes to poke fun at Calvin and everything.
He does.
So
he really likes poking fun at Calvin.
I just skip those videos most of the time.
That's like a Lutheran pastime, though. They have this ongoing rivalry with the Calvinists, and to be honest, it's kind of annoying.
Do you mind, Ian? And
because
well, I was gonna say, yeah, go ahead. You're fine.
We reach our hands across the aisle and say, "Hey, you want to be friends?" They're just like, "No, you're stupid. Go away."
Yep.
It's like they have this clubhouse that goes, "No Calvinists allowed."
There's a guy.
Really,
yeah.
They're acting like children. Wait.
So there's a really tiny Lutheran church that meets in our building in the afternoon on Sundays. And when I say really tiny, I mean like 5 people. And they, I'm not even joking, like a pastor and 4 people. One of them is this awesome guy named Richard. And he is, he and his wife were both converted at the same time. And he went almost like Reformed Baptist-ish and then backfilled into Lutheran. Meanwhile, his wife went like EO and back to Catholic, and then they couldn't go any further and ended up divorcing. Very weird story. Anyway,
oh dear.
But he is just hilarious to talk to because he has this great appreciation for things like Sacred Heart music, which is intrinsically American and Protestant and, all these other sorts of things. And it's very like down home, earthy kind of a thing. But he also loves like really high liturgy and has all these flying things to say about all that and whatever else. And then I'll mention something and he'll be like, well, yes, but that isn't actually the truth. It isn't actually how it works, except he's like the Lutheranist of Lutherans. It's so funny. I love that guy. Yeah.
Does he actually talk with that transatlantic accent?
Yes, though? He does kind of have a transatlantic accent. Yes,
he has a transatlantic accent.
It's almost like southern transatlantic. I can't really quite describe it. Anyway,
yeah, no, I've heard that.
Yeah, it's
like
it's kind of Tidewater. It's Tidewater-ish accent. Yeah, but it's not like Foghorn Leghorn or something.
Like Tallulah Bankhead.
Hello, TK. Yeah, something like that. I was gonna jump in, Ian, if it's okay with you, since we brought up your audiobook for the friends here, and just to have something live while we're waiting on some more people to file in. Would it be cool if I read the first prologue scene in the Throne of Anwin from the Sword of Emrys on here? Would that be okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Do a little live read. Is that okay? That's cool? Okay. Let's see if I
mute.
All right, here we go. I awoke, or thought I had awakened, in the throne room of Anwin. Save for the hideous frescoes depicting the violent exploits of the ancient kings engraved into the cold stone, the room was nearly free from adornment. The only light came from the torches resembling human skulls and eerily glowing crystalline objects. The Dark Lord Aron ascended the stone steps to the throne of Anwin, his black robes flowing behind him. Cruelty radiated from his granite-like features. Striding in after Aron came Teged the Bald, king of the realm of Bala. His hairless pate bore a diadem of silver. His dark raiment fell nearly to the floor. With him came Caridwen, his wife, the goddess of witchery. Her attire was similar to her husband's, apart from her horned headdress. While they walked hand in hand, there was no love between them. I doubt they were capable of it. Lord Aron slouched on his elbow and asked, "What news do you bring for me, Lord Teged?" Something must be done about Emrys Ledig," replied the bald god. "He threatens everything we are trying to accomplish in man's realm." "We are losing ground, my king," added Caridwen.
The hanging god has now gained many more followers than we. Even Hibernia has turned against us. As long as the sword Kaledber is in the hands of Emrys, our efforts will be frustrated, continued Tegid grimly.
And what do you suggest we do? Asked Aron. I swore an oath to King Kinnar of David that I would never set foot in Camelot again.
You swore an oath, Lord Aron, said Ceridwen. We did not.
The Lord of Anwin stood up to his full height. Touch not Emrys Ledig. He is not some petty dictator. He is one of us, a son of Anwin, my son. As much as I would like him dead, I am forbidden from killing him. You can understand my predicament, can you not?
Tegid grimaced. The sting of Creowie's betrayal was still fresh, his own daughter running away to join his enemies.
And what of this bard I've been hearing about?
Asked Aron, returning to his seat.
We know almost nothing about him, replied Tegid, other than he is a magician of great power, perhaps the most powerful that has ever been.
Creowie is quite enamored with the fellow, we know that.
Could he be Guion?
Asked the King of Anwin. There was a long pause. The wicked couple stared at each other, communicating in a language without words. It is possible, my lord, said Ceridwen.
Creowie told us that Creowie told us that he was cast away to a distant corner of the universe to die in cold emptiness, said Tegid. Yes, Hazel? Hold on one moment, y'all. I know, baby. You need to get to sleep, though, okay? You want to say goodnight to folks? Oh, they're saying hi. One more time. Say goodnight.
Good night, Hazel. Good to see you.
Good night again.
They love you too, okay? Everyone can hear you. It's fine, okay? Or yeah, you know what I mean. We can hear you if there's any problems, okay? All right. Creowie told us that he was cast away to a distant corner of the universe to die in cold emptiness, said Tegid. But given her recent behavior, that claim is suspect. Aron stroked his chin. Then the possibility remains that the lad survived. He has drunk of the brew of wisdom. In the following silence, I watched the face of Lord Tegid contort into a shape I had never seen before. Fear.
We might be able to accomplish 2 tasks at once, Lord Aron, asked Ceridwen.
Aron glared at her. I forbid it, he spat. You do not have it in your power.
You do not have it in your power to forbid anything, came Ceridwen's cold reply. The king stepped down from his throne and confronted the witch goddess.
Need I remind you of what occurred during the twilight? How much blood was spilled? We are in one war. Do not make it 2. I have spoken.
The king returned to his seat. Tegid grinned smugly at his mate as the 2 departed the throne room.
I will speak to the dwarves, said the sorcerer. You know what to do.
The evil queen transformed into a crow and flew away into the darkness. So there you go. That was fun. Thank you for letting me do that. I like doing their voices.
Welcome.
I really need to listen to this whenever it's done.
I do some of my best voice work with his books.
Hey,
honestly.
Aaron.
Hey.
Good to see you.
Hello, Aaron.
I was thinking my brother was calling me about this. 1 second. Okay. I'm gonna need to call him because I don't know what he's.
All right. Do what you need to do. Bacon, radish, and tomato. That sounds pretty good, actually. I like radishes.
Bacon, radish.
I said BRT. I think we're using Ian's computer.
Oh, goodness gracious. Well,
that may be a nice MLT. Whether
little mutton, lettuce, and tomatoes.
Tomato sandwich when the mutton is nice and lean.
and the tomatoes are juicy. Oh, I love it.
So good. So good. Okay, so
Such a
no
great
joke.
movie.
I meant to cut it and put it in the Brood, but I didn't. I'm reading the 1689 Baptist Confession for Founders right now, as one of my audiobooks that I'm doing. And so they got to the section on marriage, and I literally had to say, like, as like, you know, you're doing the title of a passage, marriage, and I'm like, marriage. And I had to. It was just like, and I'm like, okay, I'm cutting that outtake for the Brood, and I just didn't get around to it. Literally the passage before, I'm just like all this super heady, you know, Westminsterian style stuff, and then it's like marriage. Anyway. But yeah, go ahead.
I knew a Catholic priest once who was doing a wedding, and he had to tell the groomsmen not to do that because if he did, he was just going to roll on the floor laughing, and he wouldn't be able to finish the liturgy.
That's hilarious. That is hilarious.
People who are local to that.
Alrighty. So I have a freak show chapter to share tonight. I know I shared one in the
freak show.
The Discord. Thank you. The works in progress area, but this is one a little bit later. And I'm guessing both Wilsons have something. Yes. Both Wilsons have something.
What this Wilson definitely has something. I have two things that I can either discuss, or I can either read like the last part of Bad Attitude, or I can read the little bit of my first draft of next novella.
Gotcha. Do what you're more excited about. Do what you're more excited about.
Okay. I will read Heart of the Stars then.
Okay, cool. And did you have anything this time, Alex?
I can grab something if you want me to. I do not have anything that I was specifically planning on reading, though. Gotcha. If we need to fill time, I can fill time.
Okay. And Daniel, all right, now we're getting to some things. May end up needing to move back to 8:30 or so. I've been thinking about that for a couple months now, honestly, but we'll see. How are you, Brendan?
Keep it at 8, and then we can still have our 30 minutes of banter.
It's true. We can.
Do you have a mohawk?
I do. I have had mohawks intermittently. Wow. So yeah, I thought it would be a nice change of pace for now. So yeah. Last time I had one though was a while ago. It was, I think, 2022.
Too much backlight.
So, all right, we got the reads.
That sounds about right.
We've got Brendan and we've got Alex and Debbie. Cool.
I am gonna have to dip for a little bit just to put the baby to bed.
Right.
We have to do our nighttime routine, but but I'll be back shortly.
Would you rather read before or after?
After.
After? Okay. All right.
It's going to be soon enough that I should do it after.
All right. And I believe we have two Wilsons with stuff. Daniel, did you bring anything to read or no?
No, not today.
All right. Aaron, did you bring
I had that one weird dream that I told you all
I
about.
actually have to work on my final, so I've not been writing anything for a while.
Well, that's okay. Yeah. Not a problem. We've definitely got some
just
stuff to listen to.
Hear the fun stories and stuff. So.
All right. Well, I just read a little bit of Ian's thing. We might as well finish up with Ian's thing if Ian's cool with it. Go ahead.
Oh, goody.
Yeah. So you can get to your thing, and we'll see who's next after that, if that's fine with you.
All right. So I just started writing this yesterday. It is rough. So please take it easy on me. Dark. darker than a moonless night in the Green Mountains. Darkness so thick, Eddie Small could almost feel it. It was like being smothered in a black sheet. And within that blackness, things moved. Eddie got the impression of huge spider-like forms in the darkness. Not that he could actually see them, but somehow he knew they were there, crawling in the dark. Eddie hated spiders almost as much as he hated Thorwald Van Horn, but that's a story for another time. He couldn't move, like he was a fly caught in a giant web, and the spiders drew nearer, venom dripping from their hungry fangs. And then he awoke. With a blood-curdling scream, Eddie roused to full consciousness. With a sigh of relief, he realized he was in his own room. His cat, Fred, stood at the end of his bed, eyes wide with terror, back arched. The poor fellow must have had quite a shock that his favorite human would awake so suddenly and so violently at that time of night. In burst Eddie's father, Dr. Andrew Small of the University of Vermont. His face was whiter than a powdered sugar donut. I'm sorry. Sometimes I laugh at my own jokes. In his hand was a sword. Dr. Small, in addition to teaching astronomy, was also an expert swordsman and owner of several blades. Truly a Renaissance man was Andrew Small. Behind him stood his wife, Edith, armed with a somewhat more conventional weapon for this day and age, a baseball bat. "Honey, what's wrong?" asked Edith. Nothing, replied Eddie. Just another nightmare. Andrew relaxed, sighing in relief. Spiders again? Asked Edith. I just realized that Dr. Small has almost no speaking lines. In fact, he may have no speaking lines in this chapter whatsoever. I'm going to have to fix that. Spiders again? Asked Edith. Yeah, replied the frightened boy. I wish they'd just stop happening. I know, honey, said Edith, placing her hand gently on the boy's head. Edith was silent for a moment. I'll be right back, she said, quickly leaving the room. She returned a moment later, bearing some sort of necklace. Your father gave me this on our first wedding anniversary, she said. It's part of a meteor he collected on an expedition. Eddie looked at the object, filled with wonder. Eyes filled with wonder. Dunce. She placed the rock in the boy's hand. It's a symbol of our love for each other and our love for you, said Edith. Whenever you feel it, feel afraid, hold it. There is no fear in love. Thanks, Mom, said Eddie. Edith gently kissed the boy on the head and left the room. Fred, having gathered that the excitement was over, curled up next to the boy. Briefly petting the feline on the head, Eddie returned to slumber, dreaming of running through the woods and fighting dragons and other things 11-year-old boys dream of. Fred, meanwhile, remained awake, standing watch over the lad, as was his sworn duty. Fred was no ordinary cat, but that was a secret he kept to himself. Indeed, due to his immense size and coloration, Fred more resembled a tiger than anything tame. Fred was the only one who knew Eddie's dreams were more than dreams, but due to the unfortunate circumstance of being a cat, he had no means of warning the family that something terrible was about to happen. It was exasperating, but it was his duty to stand his post, and he would sacrifice all 9 of his lives before he allowed anything to happen to Eddie. The state of Vermont is not known for having perfect April afternoons. More often than not, it's either snowing or worse, freezing rain. Spring comes rather late compared to other parts of the country. I know you're probably shocked by the fact that there are places where snow is not only possible but likely in the month of April, but this is the case in much of the Northeast. In fact, it has been known to snow occasionally in May, but I digress. This was one of those extremely rare, ideal April afternoons. The sun was bright and cheery. The temperature was warm enough that one could go outside in a t-shirt. The birds were singing. Having completed his studies, Eddie Small had decided to go out and enjoy the weather. Eddie, you see, was one of one of a rare and exotic breed of children known as homeschoolers. Dr. Andrew, fully disgusted with the state of education in America, decided he could do a better job educating his child himself. Edith was gung-ho on the idea, and so they taught Eddie at home. It was an ideal arrangement for Eddie, as he had the time and ability to pursue his own interests, such as art, music, and playing Dungeons and Dragons. And that's all I've written. Y'all can unmute yourselves.
Love it.
Well, Eddie is my best friend now.
Eddie is all of our spirit animals.
Eddie is all of us.
We are Eddie.
We are Eddie.
And that is clipped for social media. By the way, I'm running kind of a live clip for social media thing going on right now. So if anyone hears anything that they want to see clipped for social media, be like, clip that, and I'll click the button. So, and go through the clips later. But anyway,
press the button. Pull the lever, Kronk.
Pull the lever, Kronk. No, but like that's a fantastic intro. I absolutely love the cat. It is actually giving me vibes. There's this obscure videotape that I've only ever found info on at one time. You guys might know about it, and especially knowing TK and her love for obscure VHS tapes and things of the like. But there is a Garfield special that is called something like The 9 Lives of Garfield, and it is actually animations from like 9 different animators doing like literally different reincarnations of Garfield throughout his whole life. There's even one that's like full on like Watership Down style. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, it's ridiculous.
What?
I need to find out more. But yeah, we can continue. But that's what the cat thing is reminding me of. It seems like a really, like, wise beyond itself cat. Even, not necessarily, like, obviously you might be doing Supernatural because that's kind of your MO. But I was getting more just like, this is a cat in the same way like the ancient Egyptians viewed cats. You know, like they're on some kind of different plane of existence. You know what I mean?
Yes, they are.
Right.
Yeah.
They're cats.
At least they think they are. Let's put
Have
it
you ever
that
met a cat? The cat fully believes this,
Right,
even
yes.
if the humans don't.
Exactly. That's a clip. All right. But yeah, I'm gonna look this up. Go ahead.
The cat, I came up with the cat as I was writing it. The cat was not in the outline at all, but I thought. So Eddie's special. Eddie's the chosen one. Eddie needs like a magical guardian or something, like a spirit guide, something like that. So I decided to give him the cat.
I dig it.
And the cat is like, the cat's like an alien in a cat's body or something to that effect.
Okay, I'm down.
Do me a favor. Don't think about the cat as you write the cat. You will write better that way. Cats do not make sense. They do not follow logic. If you try to apply logic when writing a cat, it will fail.
It's fair.
Okay.
Same rule applies for children.
That's kind of a joke. That's kind of a joke. But the cat wasn't in the outline. I just added it.
This is the cat distribution system.
It feels right.
Right.
Okay. I unfortunately had to miss some because we were putting Tristan to bed, but it feels right from what I've heard, and everybody seems to like it. Mm-hmm. And so that sort of spontaneity of the cat coming into existence, like, you're a good enough writer that your instincts are leading you.
Mm-hmm. Plot twist, it's just a normal cat.
Listen, my favorite character in Alice in Wonderland is the Cheshire Cat. Everyone's favorite character in Alice in Wonderland is the Cheshire Cat, but that's a different point altogether.
What if they're all just normal cats?
There's no such thing.
Exactly.
What's peanut hearts?
So this
I had a distant relative that actually owned Cheshire. Like, they owned the town of Cheshire, where the Cheshire cats come from.
Yeah, why am I not surprised?
Interesting.
So
Not really.
Just a quick update on the Garfield and his 9 lives. I won't go into complete depth, but basically 1984 Jim Davis wrote an illustrated book based on this, and it was divided into 10 segments about Garfield's 9 lives throughout history, being reincarnated and blah blah blah. That was turned into a TV special in 1988, which is what I saw, and then it was a comic book later by Boom Studios in 2014 and 15. I was going to specifically mention
book.
Yeah, the
It's my younger sister reading.
So Garfield is the ninth life. The other ones are Cave Cat, King Cat, which is like the Egyptian thing, Pirate Cat, Cowboy Cat, Super Cat, Babes and Bullets, Lab Cat, and Space Cat. So
Super Cat.
They are all completely different, weird renditions of Garfield, and like I said, some of them get weirdly dark. Hello, Abigail.
It's very interesting that they jump around a timeline and don't follow linear.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about cats, and my head hurts. I should have got a coffee.
What kind of cats? Like the musical?
Like space cats.
No,
like Egyptian demi-cats.
I'm surprised no one's brought up
We're back
like
to talking about horror.
Taco Cat or something.
What is happening?
Nyan Cat. Anyway.
Meow.
What about Rap
like,
Cat?
wait,
Does
wait.
anyone remember Rap Cat from the Checkers commercials? Anyway.
What?
Rap
Has
Cat
anyone
from
here
the Checkers commercials?
Has anyone here seen the Scottish Nyan Cat?
I think I have.
It's Nyan Cat, but instead of a Pop-Tart, it's the Scottish flag, and the song is played by MIDI bagpipes.
As it should be.
It's actually better than the original, unironically.
Of course it is, because bagpipes.
Bagpipes. That's a clip. Social media.
Bagpipes make everything better.
They do.
We are not having bagpipes at the wedding.
Oh, come on.
We are not having
Bagpipes.
Come on.
Bagpipes.
No.
You have to be like just outside
I mean,
the wedding.
I wouldn't know the difference.
So we're doing a line dance to Cotton Eye, the Cotton Eye Joe line dance to Scotland the Brave at your reception. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That would be the best thing
my
ever.
wedding anymore?
Yeah.
I was just confirming what you were saying,
It's
Debbie.
never been mine.
Abby, on what you missed, I was reading the opening salvo of my manuscript, and this cat, the cat was not in the outline at all. He just sort of popped into existence,
Oh my.
and now the cat has taken on a lead role.
As
Well, that's
cats
good.
do. So,
But yeah, I mean, if a cat shows up, then it's going to be a lead.
yep.
Absolutely, the cat is very important. I think that a lot of the book will actually be written from the cat's point of view.
Well,
Oh wow.
Well,
That's
Abigail,
fun.
do you have something to share this time around? Not jumping right into yours necessarily, unless you want to. But I'm asking if you were bringing anything tonight, so I can manage.
I have options.
Okay, cool. I like options.
Yeah, I came up with a story idea, and I could brainstorm it with you.
Mm-hmm.
Or I could talk about my plans for my Substack because I'm pretty excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
Or I could read you the first part of a story that I need to be editing because the deadline's in a couple of days.
Well, that seems the most productive, but
I mean, they're all productive.
Shall I roll dice for it?
I'm trying to figure out if there's anything else that I was thinking about doing. I don't think so. I think it's between those three.
It's 3.
Okay.
I don't know. What's the story
Well,
story brainstorming, or talk about Substack ideas, or I could read you the first part of the story that I'm
Okay.
editing.
All right. Well, you think about what you're most excited about. I know Brendan's going to
If you
share.
would like,
Kirith,
I
do
can
you
roll
have
dice.
something? Kirith, do you have something you're bringing, or no? No. Okay, you're just listening this time. It's good to have you here, by the way.
Ooh, Debbie might have something that she wants to brainstorm as well.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
Okay.
So, do we want to go ahead and get mine out of the way and then move on to another one? Give people a second to collect themselves, get their stuff together? Does that work for everybody?
Freak show.
Okay.
I can add a little bit.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, I will pull up the freak show chapter that I'm doing, give you a little bit of context, and then go into it. So, without giving too much away, the first season of Guardians of Atlanta basically ends with this character Amy having there's an exorcism performed on her that's part of the big grand finale sort of situation. It's kind of an exorcism. Anyway, she is still acting out and having problems with seemingly multiple personalities, even though it's not as bad as before. She is dating, courting, seeing Marlon, who is known as Freak Show. I've talked to him about him before. Basically, he was a warlock and now is basically roaming the streets of New York. He's scarred and deformed and messed up and just trying to do his best. He's hiding from...
And the first chapter of his story can be read at joshuadavidling.com/GOA. Where does it pick up? Like 74?
Something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically with his story, he's a warlock type guy, has some dark powers, but he tries not to use them ever, if at all possible. He's one of those types. He's seen too much, but he's a Christian now and is trying to walk the straight and narrow. He's trying to help this woman. They have just recently bought an abandoned cathedral in New York. He's been saving for a long time. It's thoroughly trashed, and he can't, like, he's not supposed to be living there, but they're living there. And so basically, the story up to that point, they've got the deed to their cathedral. They've sent off the last bit of paperwork. They go to celebrate, and at this cafe, outdoor cafe, Amy has this switch that goes off in her brain, and she starts like just trashing things, just throwing stuff around. She's not super powered, she's human, whatever, but she just starts throwing plates around and stuff. And there's a woman off to the side who sees this and is like, all right, that's the one. And you just kind of see it out of the side of the camera or whatever. So they go back to their home. They're all sad about all this kind of stuff, try to get to sleep. I posted the first part of this story where he falls asleep and is having a bad dream. Then he wakes up and he can't move. He realizes he's in a salt circle, and that's where we yeah, go ahead, Alex.
It is joshuadavidling.com/GOA72, not 74.
72. Okay. That's where Freak Show's story starts, like the beginning of his story. But anyway, he wakes up from this dream. He realizes he's in his salt circle. He's in his sleeping bag. She's in her sleeping bag. They're, on the floor in the sanctuary part of the cathedral. And there's a salt circle around. And this woman who was looking at them in the cafe is standing there like chanting some stuff from a book. And something is wrong. He can tell by what she's saying that she's trying to draw the spirits out of Amy, but nothing's happening. And she gets frustrated and throws something, and he can't move a muscle. She walks over to him, she loosens his lips and basically says, "What's going on? Why is there nothing in her? What's going on?" And this is when we pick up where we begin with this one. This one's called The Shade. As Marlon prayed, paralyzed in his home, a shade looming in the shadows took aim with one lone bolt upon his crossbow, and before he pulled the trigger, the red-haired woman screamed again and made herself look bigger. "I need answers, you stupid freak show! What are you hiding from me?" But before Marlon could speak a word, the bolt brought her down to her knees. The shade emerged from the shadows and began to do all he pleased. He kicked the woman in the stomach and stood on the back of her left knee. He quickly grabbed the woman by the hair and tore a necklace from her throat. The next few seconds were lightning fast, but they were no joke. The woman began to scream and fight, but seemed to have lost all her power. The shade easily held her off, and could probably have done so for hours. He took the necklace and opened up a strange stone pouch on his belt. He placed the necklace inside it, and the woman did cry and yelp. The stone pouch contained some kind of molten metal. The necklace instantly smoldered. The woman then began to melt. As the stone pouch was recovered and holstered, the woman melted to the floor, like the fate of the necklace would suggest, and because she had passed, Marlin rose, and Amy clung to him in dread. Marlin looked at the shade and recognized a familiar face before them, a man of roughly his same age, late 20s, but a face so grim. Yet instead of cuts and scars like Marlin, he wore the grave anger of one who hunted witches and warlocks for life, the face of a vengeful son. He wore black with varying shades of brown and gray around. He wore a black leather duster and boots and a wide-brimmed hat as his crown. Upon his belt were many devices, holy water, crosses, and more. "I've got you now," he said to Marlin, his crossbow still trained on the floor. Marlin didn't waste another second. A spell engulfed Amy and him. The shade quick drew his crossbow and shot, but missed his target again. "I've hunted you for many years. Stand before me, warlock. You and your legend-ridden junkie must answer for your fell deeds and life's shocks." But Marlin and Amy stood in that room, transparent and untouchable there. They looked at each other with ghostly worry, and no sound could they make to each other there. Marlin put his ethereal finger to his mouth as they hid. They waited for several minutes there, as the shade shouted and did many things as he looked around, fuming at profanations he saw. But eventually he left the cathedral. With a warning, he stood tall. "If you haven't transported away, let this be known, you demons. I will have your heads as trophies, and things will finally be even." So there we go.
Freak show, freak show, freak show, freak show.
Can I say that this actually reminds me of X-Men?
Yeah, it has some of that going. Yeah, absolutely.
The character, the Dream, no, X-Men.
Dream, X-Men, what? Which one?
Villain. No, what's his name?
Magneto.
What is his name, Chris? He's one of your favorite characters.
Nightcrawler?
Nightcrawler.
The scene where
not Nightcrawler.
We meet Nightcrawler for the first time in whichever one of the movies he appears in.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2.
He's in an abandoned church.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
2.
And he's
X2. No,
I love
X1.
that movie. In fact, I think there's only like one X-Men movie that I don't like. So
no, X2.
Which one?
Shadow King.
Was it
Shadow King? Okay.
No, he's an X-Men villain. He's got dream-related superpowers. He's
okay.
That.
Okay. Continue, Ian.
Never mind. It's on top. It's off topic. No, never mind.
That's okay. What'd you guys think?
Run.
And what I'm doing.
I think that's some of the best stuff you've ever written.
Really? Okay.
I like.
Yeah. No.
It's so good.
It is really, really some of your best work.
So the Shade, that's what his designation is. I use designations in the World of Courage and my superhero stuff instead of basically there are two main evil or there's kind of one main good and one main evil organization. There's of course a lot of different other ones, but they both use code names, and I use the good guys version of the code names as their superhero names, quote unquote. And so the Shade, his name's Drew Shepard. He is last of his line in a radical Calvinist Congregationalist sect that actually were like witch hunters from the people of Salem. And so...
Okay, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
He's such a cool character.
He is.
Just recreated Solomon Kane. I hope you realize that.
Oh, I'm fully aware, but he's a little bit different. He's sort of a Solomon Kane met Van Helsing, the movie version. So
yeah,
Nice.
I get it. I hear you.
yeah.
I
totally
saw
know what I'm
that-
doing. But he's
you
also
said
also Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender in a way.
You need to watch that show.
Yeah, it's a good show.
I'm like the only I'm like the only one of my friends that has never watched it.
It's worth seeing for sure.
I haven't either. I watched the first season and then a couple episodes of the second.
It's
I
so
will
much
fix
better.
this.
Avatar?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
My cousins and we grew up watching it, and I think I've watched it back front to back over and over multiple times.
About once or twice.
Anyone else want to chime in on Freak Show?
I can't wait to see how the rest of this episode plays out.
Yeah, I'm
It's gonna be so good.
I'm definitely getting Nightcrawler / Quasimodo vibes from him.
Yes. Well, one other thing about him that doesn't come across immediately, unless I get into his physicality more, but he is very slender and he's 6'11". So he's actually the hard part is basically like he uses some magic to conceal himself at times and even to make himself look smaller. That's just part of his hiding. That's some of the only stuff that he allows himself to do on a regular basis. But he is he's in New York, so it's easier to hide, right? He's in kind of Hell's Kitchen sort of area, whatever, and so I'm dealing with all that kind of stuff. But he came from like upstate in the boonies, New York, like way out in the sticks, and basically migrated to the city to hide better. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on there. So I'm excited about it. I've told Brendan and Alex in depth about my plans for the season, and yeah, they both got really excited.
Although you'd be surprised how many weird-looking, deformed people there are around here.
Yeah, totally. That's the thing. Yeah, but no, I hear you. Okay.
Take it from a guy who works at a food pantry.
There you go.
We got some weird-looking folk.
There you go.
Our poor dad.
It wouldn't surprise me if a horribly scarred 7-foot-tall man walked in one day and just asked for food.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Be a tall order.
But he's also like because he's so thin. Because he's so thin, he's almost Slender Man-y too, than the way he looks, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
I mean, that would kind of creep me
She's
out.
cosplaying an Enderman.
There you go.
There needs to be like some random like Gen Alpha kid that like with an iPad runs up to him and it's like, you're this video game character.
You should absolutely do that.
Who wants to be next?
What's up, Josh?
What's up?
I was just saying hi.
Hi, it's good to see you.
Ian went to grab water, so he turned me around so he didn't have to just look at the window.
Yep, appreciate that. Good to see you.
It's a very nice window.
See, I was gonna say TK is a much better view.
Oh, no, that
10 out of
window's
10
pretty
window, but I do
sweet.
agree with Debbie.
Anyway. All right, so who wants to be next in sharing? TK?
Or wherever she
Sure, I'll
is.
do it.
Aaron? Okay, TK?
Sure,
All right.
Chris.
All righty.
I'm the one that wanted to come. I mean, not that I didn't, but
Yes.
I was planning on it anyway. But you specifically mentioned it, so yeah.
Yeah,
it's your turn.
since several of you are beta reading my book, I figured I should probably, be here.
Make an effort, make an appearance.
Yes.
All righty.
Yeah. So,
Would not be opposed.
you said what now? Gotcha. Okay, so I think that I'll read the first chapter of my newly completed beta copy of my novel and see what y'all think. Is that okay with all you beta readers that are in the room? Okay,
Sure.
sweet. Okay.
Do it.
And also, Joshua, I'm going to post a Substack blog, and I'm going to send it into the group chat because you need it since we're talking about New York City.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Chapter 1, Meridian, The Return. The night he left Seraphina in her whole world, Fingal Fiachban dragged himself and his aching heart home. Only Burdine and Edda waited his return. Megan was there as well, but she was sleeping, curled up on the floor. He quietly came to his side in order not to wake Megan. Are you well, Lord Fingal? You look weak, said Edda. I will live. Not an answer, said Burdine. Return Sarah to her home. That is all that matters. They both knew him too well to pry for more information. He had Sarah's star comb in his hand. That was enough. Fingal knelt down by Megan and shook her awake. Megan, I'm back. You can go back to sleep. Megan sat up and rubbed her eyes. You woke me up to tell me to go back to sleep? She mumbled. Fingal gave a rueful half smile. Is Sarah well? Yes, she should be with her family now. I will go see her again in a month. His twin nodded. You get to bed, said Megan, and let me sleep. Fingal nodded and set out for his room. Fingal barely got into bed before he slipped into the deep sleep only exhaustion brings. He slept with no dreams and woke late the next morning. He got up, trying to remember why he felt so tired and poorly. A rolling pain that made him catch his breath reminded him. Sarah, she wasn't here anymore. Of course, knowing he loved her made that for the best. The temptation of having Sarah here would be hard to bear. He was certain he couldn't ask for a hand at this point, so having her here was out of the question. Fingal resolved to hide his grief. After all, he would soon see her again. He rose and washed his face, dressed in one of his better everyday suits, even wearing one of his surplices to please Mother, and left his suite, again determined to wear the mask. He met Megan in the hallway, who greeted him most solemnly. Good morning, brother. Good morning, sister. Are you well? Yes. I don't think I believe you. An answer. Megan gave an exasperated sigh and dragged him to breakfast. The breakfast table was already filling up by the time they arrived. Their mother, Catriona Lady Meridian, sat at the head of the table with her husband Yinshan on her right and Lord Rodon, Treeman of Roses and King of the Flowers, on her left. Further down sat Professor Samuel Hazelton and a friend. The twins sat down across from one another, Megan on her mother's right and Fingal on the left. So, when will your new apprentice be coming? Asked Catriona of the professor. I understand he's already on his way. He's a brilliant, brilliant scholar. What's his family name? Moss, from Silverlode. He's a little older than the twins. Older? I know, apprentices are usually much younger. Medicine is too heavy for a youngster. Well, we'll have one of the lower guest chambers prepared for him. Megan, will you oversee that? Yes, Mother. Rodon took a sleepy sip of hot water. Lord Fingal, how's Sarah when you left her? Nervous, Lord Rodon. It had been 2 years after all. Rodon nodded slowly, stiff from the cold. My lord, perhaps it would be best if you went to sleep a little early this year, said Megan. Pish tosh, scoffed the tree man. I will make it until Christmas tide, as I always do. Fingal felt that Rodon feared going to sleep earlier than Christmas tide. He didn't like being alone that long. To sleep that long meant dreaming, and dreaming meant seeing those he would never see again. The founders of his house, and his wife, the Lady Akasma, all of whom were gone. He glanced at Megan, who nodded in understanding. With their cousin Gowan, who was closest to the tree man away in the capital, it would be up to Megan to keep Rodon's spirits up now that autumn had descended upon them. Fingal sat perched on the low wall near Rodon's tree, sharpening and polishing his sword and spearhead. He dangled one leg off the edge of the wall, swinging it lightly as he worked. Fingal! He jerked, nearly cutting himself. He looked down and saw his mother down at the foot of the wall. Come down off that wall this instant! Mother, this is perfectly safe! Up at the top of a wall with blades. Come down! How did you even get up there? Fingal sighed, swung his other leg over the wall, then dropped to the ground and landed on his feet like a cat. Oh, honestly, Sal, Catriona muttered. Even if I had fallen, I would just be a little bruised. I know how to fall properly. You take such risks, son, she sighed. Fingal was confused by this new fearfulness. True, she had always been nervous about him, but this increase was confusing. Short days drew on, at least each slower than the last for Fingal. He woke every morning with a hollowness in his chest, but continued his resolve to hide the pain. It was all very silly. He would see Sarah again very soon. As autumn marched on, storms blew in for the sea with pelting cold rain. Leaves on Rodon's tree began to change color, fading from green to yellow. On the days when Rodon did emerge, his robes took on the same color change, and more often than not, he would look around and go right back to sleep in his tree. On one such cold morning, Fingal sat at the huge library window that looked out at Rodon's garden, playing his harp. He was something of a melancholic mood, thinking about the poor people of Caberfay. He played to try to drown out his thoughts and think of Sarah, his living starlight. A flash of burning pain made him jerk and hit a sour note. Fingal growled and stood up, facing towards a little sofa and leaning on it. Not even think of them without pain? I must have led on to Megan or Mother. They would never let me go. Phil, called the professor as he entered the library. You all right? You don't look yourself, said the old teacher. A sudden brief attack of my curse, Professor. Nothing to be concerned with. If I may, I will worry about it. This is actually quite fortunate. Fingal's brow wrinkled and he glanced at the professor. What? Very little is known about these sorts of spells and their effects. You can learn about them from your pain. Come and have a seat in my laboratory. I have questions I need you to answer. The professor led Fingal into his laboratory, which took up about half the library. Fingal sat in a wooden chair near the professor's standing desk. Open on the desk was a huge old book. On the facing page was a full-page illustration of a witch casting a curse over a cradle. With the iconography, and I don't know if iconography is the word I want, Fingal could tell it was depicting the story of Princess Roswitha, or as Sarah informed him, Sleeping Beauty. The professor sat across from him and took his hand. He rolled it gently around so the inner part of his wrist was exposed. He pressed the fingers to the artery and pulled out a pocket watch. After a few moments, the professor released him and made notes. Pulse steady at 50, skin slightly clammy but of normal color. He looked up from his paper. Now tell me, when you have a full-on attack, how much pain are you in? Complete agony to the point where unconsciousness would be a relief, but that never happens. The professor looked over his glasses. That would be a mercy, Fingal growled. I feel every moment of the pain. What sort of pain is it? Sharp? Stabbing? Burning? It feels like my heart is on fire. It's hard to breathe. I sweat like I have a fever. I think that's the word you use for it. That's why bathing in cold water helps. Yes, the professor kept writing. Your physiology is so similar but so different from ours. What can you do except for bathing? Nothing. Nothing? Nothing. I have to wait until it all passes. It leaves me weak for a day and distraught for days after. No matter how much I wish to do something, I cannot, and that is the point. The professor nodded sagely. Thank you, my lord, and I will tell you a secret. The reason I was late this summer is because I was both helping the High Queen with a task and consulting with the mages in Avalon City to find a treatment for your curse. My brother asked me to do this, but also not to tell you or Megan. Why? We didn't want you to get your hopes up. Fingal nodded. Megan would be heartbroken if she had been informed, but you had found nothing. And you? It would not change anything for me, one way or the other. Except you would have the burden of your sister's sorrow, said the professor, vocalizing the unspoken thought. Fingal sighed and nodded. I know she already weeps for me, and she bears a curse all her own for my sake. He looked down at his boots. She hates him, you know. As much as my sister is full of love, she hates Lord Oron for what he did to me. It was a despicable, dishonorable act, and she only hates the evil he did to an innocent baby. Fingal looked up. You will try to find something, won't you, Professor? For Mother and Megan and Sarah? The information I have now will help greatly. Are you in any pain right now? There's a dull aching here. He put a hand on his chest. It's been there for days. I do not think it is my curse. Oh, there's another sort of pain, and in all my arts I can never heal. What is it? Longing, dear boy. Only longing. Yes. Wish you would send for me. We had an agreement, but the professor set his hand on Fingal's head. I know, Fingal. Whether or not I find anything to properly treat your curse or not, know that all shall be well. Fingal wandered back to his seat, slightly dazed. There was a chance of treatment? He'd hardly dared to think, but hope still beat in his heart like a bird. If he could be treated, there would be nothing to stop him from liberating Caberfay. I was just making sure that everything was still okay. Or bringing Sarah home to be his bride. Oran will have lost. The thought alone made him want to laugh and dance. Had to be realistic, however. It was possible that the professor would be in vain. He leaned against the window frame and hugged himself. Steady, steady, he muttered to himself. Fingal had learned techniques to suppress nervous and anxious energy in Shangri-La. He shut his eyes and began to breathe slowly, entering a meditative state. Fingal was meditating so deeply, people would have been forgiven for thinking he was asleep. When Megan came and shook him, he jerked nearly out of his seat. Goodness! Megan, you startled me. I'm sorry. Were you asleep? No, meditating. Megan moved to sit across from him on the window seat. You all right? You look a little flushed. Fingal bit his tongue to keep from spilling the professor's news to Megan. It'd be cruel to get her hopes up. Fingal, what is it? It's... Fingal thought fast. I miss Sarah, that's all. Of course you do. Maybe we should go for a walk in the garden to get your mind off it. Megan? Fingal gestured to the window to point out the rain. She laughed. I'm so silly sometimes. She turned sober and sat down in a nearby chair. I'm gonna have to delete that. I didn't remember that she was seated before. Fingal, I've decided something. What is that? I want to support your missions. So will worry about you, but trying to tie you down does nobody any good. Fingal looked at her, surprised. I will tell you if I feel you're being foolhardy, but I will not stop you. And furthermore, she looked around. I feel that Mother is being overprotective. I want our enemies to know that the House Meridian is protected by a capable warrior. Nodded. Thank you, Megan. Later on that day, the stop, though, was damp and foggy. And it was into this fog. Fingal and Megan rode, bound for the marketplace. Sister, Fingal called. Why exactly are we going to the marketplace? Usually take Birdie and Etta. Because I want you to see all the new dresses I commissioned for Lady Raildra. That's Sarah's formal title. Fingal sighed. Do you really think that will help? It's better than seeing you sit around like a lovelorn duck. I do not sit around like a lovelorn duck. Megan flashed him a cheeky smile over her shoulder. Fingal smirked and nudged Bucephalus to keep pace with Caesar. The bells over the door jingled as they entered the seamstress's shop. Her scissors, a needle, and a spool of thread trailing glitter flew past them. Swanhilda? Megan called. Coming, my lady, called a voice from the back of the shop. On the back trembled a plump little woman, who appeared to be part dwarf. In her hand was a little golden wand, the badge of her office as an enchantress, the female equivalent to the professor's alchemist rank. Megan hugged her in greeting. It's lovely to see you, dear, and you brought your brother. Yes, well. And motioned Swanhilda closer and whispered in her ear something Fingal couldn't hear. They giggled loudly for a moment and sobered up. I've been using sober quite a lot. But like I said, this is beta. Now please have a seat, the both of you, and I'll just bring out the dresses. Fingal and Megan sat down on a little bench while the seamstress waved her wand. On the back of the room, dummies on wheels rolled out and arranged themselves before them. Each of the 5 dresses was made of various blue materials, most with star patterns, and all fashioned with long sleeves to cover Sarah's scars. Megan clapped her hands in delight. Oh, Swanhilda, they're perfect. Merely a trifle, Swanhilda modestly. Fingal examined each dress carefully. Sarah would be beautiful in each of them, but he already had a favorite, one with filmy silk sleeves and covered in embroidered figures of the zodiac. The doorbells rang again, revealing Brocker the jeweler, carrying a small wooden chest. Swanhilda gave him an annoyed glare. They had been engaged in a merry war ever since Brocker had come to live in Meridian. Brocker, what a surprise! Swanhilda spoke in a voice that said it wasn't a happy surprise. What brings you here? His lordship and her ladyship's steeds were here, and I thought I'd deliver the jewels that her ladyship commissioned to match your dresses, he explained. Swanhilda sniffed. Very well. Walker opened the chest, revealing a selection of jewelry, belts, and crowns, all of the finest materials available. Even Swanhilda looked impressed. I must say you've outdone yourself, Brocker, said Swanhilda coolly. He has indeed. Everything you've both done is worth every penny. Wait until Mother sees. Hilda waved her wand, sending her dummies to the back. She did spend quite a bit on everything. The girl must be special. Very special, said Megan as Fingal blushed for a split second. From outside the windows there came a noise of loud voices and pounding hooves. Brocker propped open the door while Swanhilda, Megan, and Fingal looked out the windows. Standing on the cobbles were some woodsmen and a pack horse who was shivering with exhaustion and fright. There's a worm in the eastern march. We barely escaped with our lives. Fingal stepped out of the seamstress shop and made his way to the front of the crowd, who were helping the woodsmen calm themselves and their horse. Gentlemen, compose yourselves, Fingal said in a commanding voice. The woodsmen dropped to their knees at his feet. We were out cutting wood in the eastern march near Aos Sea. We had just taken a break for lunch at this pond by the waterfall. Lovely spot, my lord. Yes, but for the worm. The great green serpent came out and tried to attack our horse. Worms tend to do that, yes. Don't get these fellows and our horse something to drink, ordered. Rest assured that worm will be taken care of. He looked in the doorway of Swanhilda's shop to see Megan uneasily pull her hands up towards her neck and hug her arms tight to her chest. She knew exactly what he meant. Absolutely not, Fingal, Catriona rapped out. Mother, you have no experience with worms, and you will certainly not go alone, even if I were so inclined to allow you to go. Of course not, I would take Bucephalus. That is hardly who I meant. Catriona, you should let him go, put in Sean. It's so cold that worm is likely sluggish and slow. Normally don't go after anyone unless they're starving and desperate. Let me at least scout for the beast. I will not engage unless it attacks me first. Catriona seemed to soften a little. Mother, called Megan in a small voice, if Fingal and I are to lead this house someday, the people must know that my champion is truly capable of facing threats. Still afraid, he could see it, but she was standing by her promise. Very well, I will let you go, and I will give you my blessing. Fingal knelt at her feet while she traced 3 spirals in the air over his head. There. Now go arm yourself. The end of chapter 1.
I will have to get back with you and read it. I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry. My hearing is sexist.
It's okay. I understand. I've got the APD thing, so
Yeah. I looked at my speech. It's called a speech banana, and all of the speech sounds, right here. You're right. Like you're right here. All I can hear is right here. So, yeah.
Speech banana?
Yeah, it's an actual like scientific thing. Like it like represents all like the range of frequencies and things you can hear. And yeah.
Banana.
Yeah.
Do you have something against bananas, Brendan?
B-A-N-A-N-A.
Yeah. It actually looks like a banana whenever you see it on like the graph. It looks like a banana.
I'm glad that the scientists of the technical.
That's technical.
It just, yeah, but she just is. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to all the women here in my ears. We don't like you. So
TK.
It's just my ears. I'm sorry.
Again, I haven't done anything to you yet either.
I'm sorry. What?
That's a clip. Anyway.
I'm sorry.
All right.
So 2 things, TK.
Women need to shut up and stay in their place.
No.
I feel like talking.
You want me to go make a sandwich? My kitchen is right there.
I can actually hear that. Yeah.
I can go. I can go deep if I want to.
Yeah, pretty much the only way I can hear is just low and blah blah blah. Yeah.
Hey, Daniel. Daniel, what is the ASL sign for pine tree?
Ooh, that one is not one I use a whole lot. Give me a sec.
Meanwhile, Brendan, say your stuff.
Two things. One, I am getting to beta read your stuff, but I realized that I need to go back over your first book. So I'm doing that first. Your tree person reminded me of this.
Recently too.
That's the next project of mine. But also, I might be entirely wrong, but I feel like with Fingal and, oh my gosh, his sister.
Megan.
Megan,
I mean,
thank you. I was
Megan.
like, Meredith, that's not right. Megan. I feel like with Fingal and Megan, I'm getting a window into your and Ian's relationship. I don't know if that's true, but I'm listening to you, listening to how, both reading, from what I've reread of your first book, and what I read the first chapter, and I've just listened to the first chapter. Your writing sounds like somebody who knows what it's like to have a sibling that you have a good relationship with. I just really appreciate that. I think that's really good. As far as the writing is concerned, there are sometimes you like certain words, I think, and you sort of default to them. Sober being the example.
Yes.
That's just a minor editing thing, though. I think perhaps this will come up more later on in the book, but the fact that his mother is still worried about him, even though he's just gotten back from something. I wonder if that's going to be more of a plot point. I think that would be. I don't know. I like it. I like what I'm hearing so far. Obviously, there's some cleanup, but the cleanup is really technical. I feel it's not like you've got plot problems. Beyond the potential of the parents. Why are parents always a problem?
It is very hard to write parents properly.
Yeah.
That's just a thing, because you either default to your relationship with your parents, or you default to things that you've seen in other or read in other forms of media that are parents.
So you default to your parents, or you default to Disney?
Correct.
Yeah.
Basically.
So if you're defaulting to Disney, there are no parents.
That's also
or at least just one, or one very heartbroken, distraught one, unless you're Rapunzel's parents, in which case they're just still distraught, both of them. Anyway,
that was still one parent for
You also have
18
Merida.
years of her life.
You also have Merida, who has two parents who are relatively happy.
Merida is just in a sitcom family.
So does Aurora.
That's true.
And
Aurora does have two parents, yeah.
Anyway,
five, depending on how you look at it.
Very nice, CK. I appreciated it. I appreciated the nod to Mrs. Beaver, and anytime I get a female, even half dwarf, I'm over the moon. We need more female dwarves in stories in general. I feel like so.
Yes, I kind of went for Aurora's three fairy godmothers / Mrs. Potts.
There you go. Yeah, those women are awesome. Honestly, I love even when they're humans. I love that character. That sort of just. It's sort of like it's an archetype of personality and physicality together. Basically the sort of motherly English maid nanny character. I love that character. I really one day want to write a whole story about that archetype.
Merryweather is best fairy, fight me.
Right.
Oh, she's awesome.
The archetype that I think of in my mind immediately when I think of that is the maid from 101 Dalmatians.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what I think of. Anyway. But yeah. So
I didn't know there was a maid in 101.
I know no one does, but she's hilarious, honestly.
I knew that.
I know because of the sequel too.
She knew. No, I was just pointing out, like, Kirith knew, Debbie knew, Abigail knew, like all these people knew, and I'm just like, there was a maid.
I think you guys just need to pay more attention to women. Both female characters and the women in your lives.
Oh,
hey.
No, he just doesn't remember Disney movies.
She just went by Nanny. That was what she went by. Anyway.
Yeah.
The thing is, in the book, both the human characters had a nanny, and one of the nannies was named Cook, and the other nanny was named Butler. So when they married, they combined households, and the nanny named Butler became a butler. She took butler classes, and then a nanny named Cook became a cook, and she took cook classes, and it all worked out beautifully.
Very proper. Yes, wonderful.
It was all very proper. It was hilarious. I love that part.
Oh, good.
Of course, they made differences in the movie, and I don't mind. You know, the movie was fully approved by the author, so I don't mind. It's one of those successful things.
Yep. All right. So right now,
feedback about
feedback.
The story. Oh, the chapter 1. Yeah, I haven't read the first book, so I don't know anything about it except for what I know about it. So, but let's see. I think it was good. It had a very interesting, promising for how it'll continue. I feel like you could tighten it up a bit, like just chop out a few hundred words and see if that really makes it a little bit more focused. And I mean that's more of a substantial edit, but I think that would make it stronger.
TK, your book is arriving at my door tomorrow. So.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, I shall catch up here shortly.
I have it sitting upstairs by my bed on a stack of other books. It's technically his copy, but...
Yep.
It will be your copy soon.
Yes.
I'll read it eventually.
No, I have not.
Alrighty.
Okay.
So
you underestimate the amount of things that I've read.
So we have Aaron, we have Brendan, and we have Abigail. Do either of you three need to be getting out of here soon?
You also have Debbie.
Debbie, yes, Debbie. I'm sorry.
Don't forget Debbie.
I won't forget Debbie.
Wait,
do any of you
You're just forgetting all the women.
Do any of you four?
We're going to start our own broodcast.
Mine is
we do actually.
Aaron, go ahead. Aaron, go.
To call it a night. So
let's hear what Aaron said.
It was great.
Oh, you guys are heading out? Okay. All right. We'll see
you.
Ian.
See you, TK.
See you guys.
Bye.
Aaron, go ahead and say what you were going to say.
All right. Mine's very short, and I do have to leave fairly soon.
Why don't we go ahead and do Aaron, and then we'll figure out what's next after that.
Else, but that's okay.
I read from this work about like 2 or 3 months
Just going to say,
ago.
if Aaron shares, it kind of counts as me. So.
There you go.
Yeah, kind of does. And Dan needs to know what's going on with this.
Yeah.
So this is The Legend of Two Elves. Alex heard me on it last time. If you remember what it was, you were really excited about it.
Yeah. Very.
So I shared what's now chapter 1 last time. And this time I'm skipping all the way to a section of chapter 4.
Okay.
Because not much plot is lost. In the meantime, essentially, in the first chapter, you just got to know the family of this girl named Eldwin. You got to know that her uncle Adarian existed. He was rowing the boats. You got to know that she was living with her aunt and uncle and her mother. Her father was gone, and her family is in debt to their landlord/employer named Kadra. Oops. And Eldwin was trying to solve the whole debt problem, and that didn't work.
Yep.
And so something happened that I'm not going to be reading because we're going to do a time jump, a big time jump, about 14 days later.
All right.
Where is she? Adarian asked his wife and niece as they clung to him in tears. The city around him looked like it was being rebuilt. Eldwin, where is your mother? Kadra took her, she said through tears. A Roseanne priest was barging through the crowd, pressing in on the three. Adarian, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We're all sorry. Everything all of us have done to you, we will pay it back tenfold. Then go and hang yourself, Adarian shouted back. The priest was dumbfounded by his outburst. The rest of the people stepped back as one would from a violent chained dog. That was a little harsh, Othello said. I don't think so. Eldwin? Adarian replied. The girl nodded. Let them hang, she said. With that decided among them, Adarian turned to find a solution. When was she taken? He asked. At evening on the 2nd, Othello replied. It was all so sudden. Eldwin was eating out with his boy, and then 5 men walked up and took Lyanna right out of the kitchen, kicking and screaming, and then shot into the sky. Shot into the sky? Adarian replied. Something about wind staffs and wind hearts, Othello replied. Wind hearts? Adarian asked, shaken. Eldwin perked up and began to smirk. There was a wind heart, like Molly, you know, her. He came back and tried to capture me a few times, actually. I had to hide. So we'll leave, Adarian replied. If there's a wind heart hunting you, we can't stay here. Don't worry, Kara dealt with him, Eldwin replied. But my mom is still who knows where. Probably Turn's palace, she said. Her face turned dark. So Kara killed him? What did she figure out about Lyanna? Adarian asked. If I knew, I would have said something, Eldwin replied. The spy master Vardon is conducting the investigation, and he has decided to not tell me or Othello almost anything. Then I'll talk to him. Where is he? Adarian asked. He left the city, Eldwin replied. He probably went east. Then who can we talk to? Adarian asked. We need to find her. I don't know, Eldwin said. I don't know what to do. She's gone. And
Excellent.
that's the section.
Excellent.
So you want to explain
so
the creatures?
I know,
or whatever
I
they are, the
know,
wind hearts?
I know Eldwin. The wind hearts, that's actually a new development for me,
Wind
too.
heart is a type of mage.
Okay.
It's, you know, the 2nd and 5th elders? They have...
Pulls out notes.
Remember,
you guys need to make an epistolary book and have it be an ancillary to this.
I agree.
I'm currently taking a journal for this purpose.
Wonderful.
I have so many notes to keep up with him. Give me a sec.
Aaron,
Yeah,
the Silmarillion Reed.
I'm gonna have to cut off a lot of materials just to make it more practical.
Yes, you will.
And this is going to be the main tool I use to do that.
That's wonderful.
Good.
But yeah. Still, the Wind Hearts are basically have the powers of the 2nd Elder.
Okay. The elders being, for the listeners, the elders in mine and my brother's shared story world are these primordial beings of ancient power. Some are good, some are evil. They've been fighting a war for forever, how long. They represent the spiritual rebels of the world, dark lords, and
also,
big bad evil dudes. Pardon?
There's also the good Valar kind of guys.
Yeah, and then there's the more prominent and notable throughout the story, the good characters. They are kind of in the background. They bestow magical abilities to people during various times of great turmoil and whatnot, and those powers kind of show up in varying ways. It's kind of a soft magic system, but the general idea of it is they have heralds and they make agreements and barters, so essentially like warlocks in a D&D sense.
So feedback.
And Wind Hearts are kind of herald for the 2nd, 5th Elder.
Gotcha. A little bit of feedback on this. I once again love the dialogue you're doing. The dialogue just in the word choice is bringing me into the world. You are actually creating a dialect that is not straight rip-off of Tolkien. It has its own sort of Pride and Prejudice-y vibe, but it also has it's like I can picture this world so well just from the dialogue. I know what kind of people live here. And so your dialogue is actually one of your unsung secret weapons in what you do.
Suck at dialogue, so I'm so glad he's good at it.
Yeah, and I honestly,
a deaf guy sucks at dialogue. We're shocked.
Nice. I mean, I'm great at picking up on like this. Yes, I love this. Yes, I've been hate crimed.
And I also know that I was doing a lot of
first.
to make it sound cooler.
That's
It's
fair.
just equal discrimination at this point.
you were saying, Aaron?
That's fair.
You were saying, Aaron?
I also know I was doing a lot of inflection to make it sound cooler.
Yes.
Honestly.
Good job.
So it felt
Good job.
bad as I was reading it, but I was just like, okay, I'm gonna just try and make it sound cool.
It's better than you think
I've
it
been
is.
subtly using my speech therapy like skills and stuff.
You don't
Nice.
really even talk about it.
I've done more than you know.
All right. Any other feedback for Aaron and Daniel by proxy?
I still definitely want to read this whenever it's done and want to continue hearing it as you are working through it, because I am thoroughly enthralled in the world. Everything that Joshua said, 100%, absolutely, yes. You're like, everything that I've heard of this world, it feels like it's there.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like it's real.
I love that.
It's great.
I love that. Yes,
All
I love
right.
it so much. I've got to work on more of the Maiden's Child stuff. It's going to have more of a young adult science fiction fantasy feel.
Is The Legend of Two Elves is now just, it's gone up in age rating.
Yeah, that one's
That's
going
okay. You guys started this as kids. It's gone up, and that's natural because you've gotten older, you know?
Yeah, it's fine. It's more definitely going to be in the young adult kind of range of 20s, 30s. That's kind of the market for it.
All right, so we have 3 left. We've been on an hour and 48 minutes from when we were supposed to start, but a lot of people got here later. I just want to make sure we have time. So we have three left. Is there anyone who wants to be next? If not, I did do a dice roll, and I have someone of the 3 that are still left. Debbie, Brendan, Abigail. Abigail froze.
I'm curious to see who the dice landed on, but I would like to go next. So,
okay. Is anyone having a problem with Abigail going next?
Nope.
Go for it. Whatever is you're most excited about.
I thought of another thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm everything. I don't know. I wrote a new prologue for a thing for my book that I finished. And I also, so would you like fantasy or dystopian? Or like post-apocalyptic?
Dystopian.
Fantasy.
Dystopian.
I have no dog in the fight.
Fantasy.
Dystopian.
I feel like Aaron and I pretty well covered the fantasy, though.
Go dystopian.
What?
Dystopian? Dystopian. I say dystopian. Just to be contrary to Debbie.
Wow.
Fair.
We have started a war here.
All right, I'll try to. This is a story that I.
It's all love. It's all love.
Me too.
All right, so I'll do the technically. I'll read the first about 1,000 words or so. It's 6,000 words, and I do want some feedback, so I'll probably drop the rest of it into the Discord thing once I have access to my phone again. So I'll read. Okay. Beginning. A haze of smoke and dust yellowed the sun and snagged in my lungs as I sang along under my breath with the song on my iPod. The landscape was empty. To the right, a former commercial complex showed signs, even at this distance, of extensive damage from either heavy explosives or a massive magical battle. Wouldn't be worth a trip to see if there's anything worth scavenging. The good stuff was taken long ago, and intact buildings were now fortresses for the worst tribes. The 4+ hours it would take to get there wouldn't be unproductive. They might also prove fatal. Ahead and to the left lay a vast industrial area, concrete, asphalt, and glass. The shells of factories dominated but provided no shelter. They too had been stripped long ago, products looted, machines turned into weapons and armor. The no man's land of former roads and parking was now so uneven that vehicles couldn't traverse it. It concealed nothing, nothing moved, nothing lived. Even birds had deserted this area. Nothing human, or formerly human, or human adjacent, existed in these empty miles. I turned to the crisscross of access roads and a tangle of small service buildings, mostly raised by conflicts come and gone. Beyond, visible at long last, the vast interstate. Elevated at this stretch, it dominated the horizon. We'd made it. Another day or two of travel, and we would reach the interstate. We were far from safe, wouldn't be even when our journey was over. I knew better than to be relieved, but even so, triumph jolted through me like electricity. We'd made it across the city, weeks of walking, running, hiding, fighting, and now. A new scent hit my nostrils. I turned, scanning the sky, and shivered. Storm clouds. I'm changing something. Hold on. That made no sense. Again. Storm clouds built in the distance, so gray that they were almost black. They were headed this way, judging by the restive breeze, moist with the burden of rain. Damn, I pulled the earbuds out of my ears, deciding against listening to the next classic rock track. There was no time to waste and no attention to spare. Jamming the device in my pocket, I turned back to the industrial wasteland and set out at a steady run. Music was its own kind of shelter, a memory, an echo of the past. Many of the classic rock tunes that my dad used to play back when I was a kid, a connection to him. I found the iPod and its charger, long obsolete when the world a bit ended, the second week of our flight. Whenever we found a socket connecting to the power grid, I charged it. But those times were few, and I hoarded listening time like a treasured possession. It was loaded with familiar songs which no one else liked. They were mine, something to listen to escape into, to articulate the fear that isolated us. Sometimes it felt like we were the only ones still normal, still human. But the truth was, we were anything but normal. I reached the blown-out shell of a former McDonald's a little over an hour later. No roof, but it still had water and a little forgotten food, which made it the ideal hideout for a few days, as the little ones dressed it up and I scouted the area. Still, that water and food made it a holy grail to any other nomads around, and I was relieved to see Ro standing guard outside just as I left him. The hulking 7-foot-tall brute was ugly as they came, with a scowl of a face and matted long hair. We called him an orc, for lack of a better name, but he might have been a tax assessor before the catastrophe fell, for all we could tell. He didn't talk much besides grunts and the occasional complete sentence. "Cade," Ro called as I neared, raising his huge arms so high that the fireman's axe he'd used to devastate hordes of raiders glittered in the sun. "All well?" I panted. He nodded. I reached up to clap his shoulder as I slowed, turning into the McDonald's. Aloysia was there, anxiety easing from her face as her breath caught as she saw me. "Gideon," she pulled me into a hard embrace. "You all right? You've been running." "Yeah, fine," I breathed in the tingly warmth of her tight curls. "We're almost at the interstate. We'll reach it in a day or two." "Oh," she breathed, almost sobbing. Then she rallied enough for a small tease. "Told you we should have taken Coleman through the frontage road. It would have taken a week off the trip." "Ha ha." I tried not to flinch at the reminder of the swarm of tech goblins we encountered at the entrance to Coleman Street. The whole tribe had taken control of the stretch of formerly pristine business buildings. The warlord prepared to impose his control on anyone who strayed too near. I still felt the struggle to get away and the nearly healed gash on my shoulder. That had been Reuben's first battle. I'd been able to keep him out of it before that, but we'd walked right into a bad situation, and with no choice but to all fight who could. It had cost him a deep cut on his leg, though Aloysia had done a good job stitching him up. The kid had thought that he was a man now. He'd been 15 in a week or two, and wanted me to teach him all I knew of fighting. Said it was time he helped protect his mom and sisters. Good thing that injury kept him from doing much for now. He wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. I looked over to where he was working with Tamra, picking up anything edible that remained in the old restaurant's cooler. It might be cliche to say that they had grown up a lot in the last few weeks, but it was true. Tamra was 12 and almost as pretty as her mom. Still rounded brown cheeks flushed from exertion. A practical organizational streak had emerged in her that kept us all functionally on the go, though I knew she missed and mourned her friends. Ruth, our youngest, was nearly 3, and still the happiest and most playful of kids, with her hair almost always bundled in fluffy pigtails and a constant chatter that I missed as I scanned the room. Ruth's taking a nap with Elbia. Aloysia answered my gaze, nodding towards the shadiest corner where a bench still had an intact cushion. A small mound was sleeping. The small mound was sleep. What? Sorry. Ruth was sleeping with her head rested against Elbia, who was withdrawn and silent as usual. With her hood up, Elbia, the elf girl, looked almost human, her delicate, pale features hiding the cybernetics just beneath the surface. She had not been attention sooner rather than later, but something live among humans, too human to be accepted in the elfin realm, and now not quite a cyborg. We took her in, but how long would it...
your microphone cut out. I don't know, maybe 20 seconds ago.
Okay,
and popped
can you hear
in
me?
and out for a little bit. Yeah.
Can you hear me now? All right, so I'll back up. All right, Elbia had not been fully converted, but still into a cyborg. But still, the level of machinery in her body made her dangerous to be around. It would attract attention sooner rather than later, but something about her made it worth the risk. She'd always been an outcast, too alien to live among humans, too human to be accepted in the elfin realm. And now, she was not quite a cyborg. We took her in, but how long could it last? Wake up, Ruth. We've got to get going, I said. The storm is moving in. Is it bad? Aloysia muttered, squeezing her eyes shut for an instant. Hard to tell from this distance, but it could be. We'll have time to reach better shelter. She nodded, leaned to give me a quick kiss, then segued. Is it segued? I always pronounce that wrong. Directly into business mode. Okay, everyone, packs on, shoes on, grab a drink of water. Time to get going. Go, go, go. Exactly as if we were late for soccer practice, she punctuated each go with a sharp clap. I smiled, maybe bitterly. Because exactly not like soccer practice, Reuben and Tamra immediately jumped to obey, Tamra directing where to grab the last supplies to finish the packs, Reuben grabbing his crutch and helping cinch everything together. Even Elbia rose with graceful speed, and Ro came in with a questioning grunt and shouldered his massive pack. I handed my own pack off to Tamra to replenish, then went and scooped up Ruth. She stirred and briefly opened her eyes before sighing and nuzzling into my shoulder. Daddy, she questioned, and went back to sleep. And I could stop there.
How dare you?
Sounds awesome.
Daddy at the end there, how dare you? Ow. Ow. Gosh. No, really good. You obviously don't know this, but it reminds me of a world in a tabletop game called Shadowrun. It's not post-apocalyptic, it's post-calamity, where something happens and magic returns. What?
Urban fantasy, right?
No. Urban cyberpunk fantasy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's elves and dwarves and orcs and stuff, but there's also mega corporations. Sci-fi, there's bionics, cybernetics, all that stuff. Mega corporations, which are the actual runners of the government and stuff, they are probably dragons. The people who run them, the CEOs are probably dragons.
That makes sense.
There you go.
But no, it reminded me of that, and I liked that game, so I'm like, okay, post-apocalyptic, it's interesting. You know, you got that sort of Mad Maxy, deserty vibe thing, but the magic and elves and good.
I mean, his name was Ray Kroc. I think we should have seen the whole dragon thing coming. Anyway.
Anyway.
So yeah, no, I always love the verboseness of what you're doing. There was a character thing that I was picturing in my brain, and it may not work depending on the scope of what you're doing, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. You're a cyborg girl, right? Like that character.
Yeah.
You're in a McDonald's. McDonald's invariably has Happy Meals at various times with Transformers, and even like those old school ones that are like McDonald's food that are Transformers. I don't know if you remember those little Happy Meal toys.
Oh yeah.
You could totally.
We had some of those.
Yeah. You could put one of those in it and have her be in some way, shape, or form like, I like it. It's like me.
Oh, that's great.
So, like I said, it may not fit based on the scope of what you're doing, whatever the case may be. But that's like immediately one of the things that came to my mind is like, also like they knew about things like me before everything happened. Like, you know, that kind of thing, you know, all that other stuff that can come from that. So anyway.
Surprisingly, I actually got bits and pieces out of what you
So
said.
you're saying she sounds mannish. Gotcha. Very nice of you, Dan.
Yeah, I didn't want to lower my voice too much because that will make my throat hurt for the next week. So,
yep. Fill me in bullet points. Like
It's
main
an
character,
So from what I can tell, there was the main character is a male. I didn't catch that initially. It took me a bit until she that might have been like cutting in and out and or like my internet, like if you mentioned it earlier on, or it might have been the fact that you're a woman and you're talking with the voice. So I thought, oh, this must be a girl. No, Brendan, how dare you assume such things?
I just have to read it down here.
No, don't, please. Don't hurt yourself.
No.
But there is the orc, who's not an orc. This is a family, it sounds like.
Yeah.
And one of them, and either is the mother the elf, but but looks too human, or is that a different character? Hello?
Yeah. The mother is Aloysia.
Aloysia. Okay.
Oh, is everybody there?
You're cutting in and out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Did everyone leave?
No,
yeah.
we're still here.
We're here.
We are here. We are here. We are here. Hello.
Are you there? For a short story, it has too many characters.
For a short story, it has too many characters. Okay.
Short story.
Hello.
Characters.
Yeah.
Hello.
We're trying.
You have a lot of disconnection.
Disconnect and reconnect.
Wow.
Hello.
Okay.
Now your audio is gone.
She's gonna disconnect.
Me or everyone?
Is that just me, or is her audio actually gone?
She's gonna reconnect. There we go. Okay, check 1, 2.
Hello. Hello.
Is it just me, or is she silent?
She hasn't started talking yet. Just a minute.
Okay.
Just you.
Haha.
You are deaf.
Haha.
There are too many jokes, Dan.
Yes, there are.
Oh boy.
While y'all were going through that, I'm trying to think
Hello.
Yes.
There she is.
You there?
Hello. We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Can you hear us?
Yes, and everybody's videos are back again.
Well,
There
you
are
go.
many things that can be said in a broadcast that can also be said in a seance.
There you go.
Can you hear us? We can hear you.
All right.
What
That's
are you
getting
saying?
clipped. That's getting clipped. Anyway. All right.
You can also say those things while taking an order in the drive-thru.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is anybody there?
That's
Taking an order in the drive-thru.
All right,
let's not be railing.
Abigail. Okay.
Sorry, I'm just
What were you
stalling
saying,
while-
Abigail?
Yes. No, I was saying this is it's a short story. It's 6,500 words at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm planning to go through it and clean it up a bit. And one of the concerns was that it is not evident at the beginning that the narrator is male.
Right.
So I was trying to figure out how to incorporate that in that opening section. Because, it's a dude.
Yep. Okay.
He's a dad.
Yes.
He has 3 kids and his wife, and they're all on the run.
Gotcha.
And then a random orc dude and a random elf dude. Dudette. And
see, I didn't pick up he was a dad either.
So
like I heard the daddy thing, but like I didn't pick up anything else. So couple of things. One of the things is be more action oriented in the inner monologue than relationship oriented. That's just a general male female thing. Doesn't mean that they can't talk about relationships. It means like the primary thing is the action. Where are they moving? Where are they going? It's focused on the goal and less on the here and now. Then
okay, but how do you do that when you're introducing?
Right, when you're introducing, we went here, we came there. You did a little bit of that, but then it starts talking about some of the individuals. Also, like for example, you're talking about Orc Guy. I can't remember the name, but you're talking about Orc Guy. Give a little bit more of the physicality. Maybe even say something about like he's and use phrases like stupid strong, like that kind of a thing. Like he something that sounds kind of like, because I'm getting the mentions classic rock, okay, and he's mentioning his dad's classic rock or whatever, right? And that can be your hitching point. He uses a little bit more street but still daddish terminology instead of some of the verboseness. You have so much great verboseness. You can sacrifice a little bit of it for something a little bit more slang, right?
You could say like father, like son there.
Yeah. Exactly. And so one example that immediately came to mind for like dads talking about stuff, and it's because the Brood brought him up today. Alice Cooper. I was listening to an interview with him, and he is like the daddest of dads. Like he really is.
Okay.
But yeah, if you just hear some of his conversations and stuff, he's intelligent, but he uses a lot of slang, and he's just you can tell he's really intelligent, but he's rock and roll, and that might work with the classic rock kind of thing.
That was Cooper.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I think that, like I said, the main thing is to just, we're going to a place where we have a system that's working. Everyone's still safe. A guy in that situation is going to be mainly focused on creating systems for the people's safety and coming up with a goal for the future. Right. And providing and all that other kind of stuff. That's like a general dad mindset. He's going to be worried about the future, but if he's gotten into a rhythm and started to accept certain things, then it's going to be a situation where he's like, yeah, cool, rock and roll, let's go, trying to keep everyone else upbeat, that kind of thing, right?
Okay, I like that. All right.
Yeah. So that's just a few things. But yeah, like I said, generally speaking, male versus female, for anyone who's listening, even in the future, males focus on action, even if it's not action, right? Like they focus on the plan, executing the plan, et cetera, worried about the safety of the individuals rather than the thoughts and feelings of other individuals, right? That's a good general rule of thumb. Write something as the female for the male, and then think, how can I make this more about the action and the plan and executing the plan, right? So yeah.
Okay, that's good tips.
Yep. All right.
I really liked that you included the iPod.
Yes.
I do have a weird Apple fanboy question. Which iPod?
Why?
Yeah, I don't know.
No clue. Okay, got
Fair.
it. Perfect.
The-
Perfectly
the,
valid
um,
answer. Wasn't expecting one. Just wanted to see if you had an answer to it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's not one connected to the internet, which is important to the story because there's
So it's an iPod Classic of some form.
Yeah, it's an iPod Classic. It's I don't know what generation it would be. It's bigger than the one that I
have a complete chapter.
Oh, very nice.
Chapter of what?
Yeah, so I know that it's
Yeah, I have to head out. So.
Alrighty. Well, we'll see you, Aaron. You heading out, right? Is that what you said?
See you, Aaron.
Wait, one second.
Waiting.
I can wait 10 minutes.
Okay. All right, he's doing something. Okay, so we have Brendan and we have Debbie. Debbie is off screen at the moment doing something, it appears.
Correct.
And so we can go
Yeah,
to...
I gotta get going, I think. So.
All right, Abigail, thanks for being here.
See you, Abigail.
You.
Bye, everyone.
Brendan, hey, everyone, listen up. Make sure you listen to the replay and give Brendan feedback. He's been working really hard.
Debbie says bye to you, by the way.
Yep.
Oh.
Bye, Debbie.
Debbie's leaving.
Bye back. No, Debbie was just saying goodbye to Abigail.
All right.
Get your mic back, Debbie.
Yes.
Get your mic back, Debbie. I can't hear you.
Oh.
All right, Brendan, you want to go next?
And we'll I'll go next.
And we'll end with Debbie. Okay.
I'm not supposed to be talking to
wait
a
10
woman.
minutes.
You can talk.
There's a bug on the ceiling. It's a fly. Okay. I'll do the fight scene and some of the aftermath. Last week, I did the lead up, so we'll kind of replay a little bit. Just last month, I'll do a little bit of the replay leading up so that you, rather than starting off right on the back. Ava, for anybody who didn't know, Ava went into the forest to get some herbs, and bumped into a hellhound. It is a demonic dog, roughly the size of a small house with 6 glowing red eyes. Yes, I've been totally influenced by Trigon from Teen Titans. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, so this is script format. It's not meant to be read like this, but you have to work with me here because that's what I'm working with. Exterior village edge day. Ava bursts from the tree line, making a beeline for her house. The dog bursts from the tree as she reaches the door, but she fumbles with the lock. The hound is charging forward. Ava loses to its menacing aura and drops down to the side, cowering under the overhang of the door. The hound leaps at her. She expects to feel pain, but nothing happens. When she opened her eyes, Aram stands over her, holding the jaws of the beast open. It snarls and tries to snap, but Aram is simply too strong, despite being so much smaller than it. Aram, with almost glee. My, what a loyal beast. Ava sees that Aram has what could almost be described as a malicious grin on his face. Aram is a warrior, and one of his sworn enemies just came to him. Sent to finish what your master started, huh? The hellhound snarls. Aram, shall I send you back to them in pieces? The hound whips its head around, sending Aram flying, but he manages to land on his feet. The hound is swiftly after him. Aram quietly. Here we go. They begin to fight, Aram mostly wrestling and punching as he has no weapon yet. As they fight, they have no regard for anything. Plants get ripped up, trees get smashed, etc. Aram may take a hit from being thrown, but there is no way in which he's ever actually struggling. Ava runs from the fight, sprinting down the hill toward the village. Despite trying to get away, the battle follows her, though neither of the combatants are actually trying to follow her. As she runs, the hellhound flies over her head, crashing into the path in front of her. She pauses in fear as the hellhound looks hungrily at her for a second, but then Aram comes jumping down from above, slamming onto its face. The hellhound whips its head around, trying to get Aram off of it. Meanwhile, Ava turns and runs into the tree line, trying to run around the outskirts of the fight to get to the village for help. Exterior village day. Jasper, in the meantime, is preparing to leave. He has his briefcase and a bag slung over his shoulder. He walks along and eventually comes to a carriage. The driver helps put his bags in the back, and Jasper takes the time to look at the village one more time before he leaves. Exterior, village edge day. Ava sprints toward the trees, or through the trees, dodging around, trying to work her way toward the lower road, which is one of the main routes into the village. As she runs, Aram is thrown and crashes into a tree next to her. She screams a short scream of surprise, yet Aram is somehow fine. He looks up with almost a wicked smirk of enjoyment. He glances over. Aram, stand aside, herbalist. Aram gets up and moves over to where she's standing. She moves out of the way and watches stunned as the hellhound charges toward Aram, who just stands still, facing it head on. Aram slides to the side, grabbing the side of the hellhound's face and turning, throws the hound past him, sending it flying, and I know I'm using the word flying a lot, and it slides along, destroying some of the underbrush and smaller saplings. A second later, Aram is on top of its face, punching the hound in the eye over and over again. It roars in pain. Make sure the sound is not, I have a note here, make sure the sound is not something that could be sympathized with. Ava looks on with horror, but then turns and sprints toward town. Exterior, village day. Jasper is sitting in the carriage, looking out. Looking out, he sees Ava sprint past him. He turns his head to look, somewhat concerned, but he does not stop the carriage. Ava runs towards the town center. Jacob and Luke are outside talking. Ava desperately calling, "Help! Help, please!" Jacob and Luke immediately look over. Concern crosses Jacob's face, and he runs over to Ava, Luke hot on his heels. Jacob, serious, concerned. "Ava, what's wrong?" Ava, gasping, somewhat panicked still. "Monster, some wolf, dire wolf, I don't know." Jacob looks up past her. "Aram is fighting it. They're going toward the road, please." Jacob immediately runs toward where Ava came from, grabbing a logging axe that happens to be on his way. Luke pats Ava and runs after him. After a moment, Ava follows. Exterior, the low road day. Jasper's carriage drives forward. The roar of the hellhound suddenly echoes around them. Up on a steep hill where there are still trees, the hound is badly injured, snapping and snarling while backing away from Aram, who is stalking toward it. Aram, afraid, are we? Good. You should be. The hound whips around, using its tail to slam into Aram, who puts his arms up in time, but the blow still sends him sliding backwards. His body scrapes against a tree and actually causes some skin to break. Aram looks down at his shoulder and makes a sound of annoyance. I suppose I've wasted enough time. Aram stands up and rushes the dog. It lunges to bite, but Aram sidesteps, batting aside its face with a powerful punch. He does a barrage of strikes while the hound is pinned against a tree, and then strikes it with enough force to topple the tree with the hound on it. The result is that the tree crashes down. Jasper and the coach driver see what's happening and bail quickly. The tree crashes into the carriage. The horses bolt. The hound lies wounded on the wreckage, barely able to move. Aram leaps into the air, and though no one on the ground notices, a soft golden glow appears around his hand. Aram, in the angelic language, I pursued my enemies and overtook them. I did not turn back till they were destroyed. As he speaks, the glowing golden sword appears in Aram's hand. I have a note here, or a sword flies like Thor's hammer toward it. I'm not sure how I want to do that quite yet. He leaps down, plunging the sword deep into the hellhound's chest. It lets out one last guttural sound and then collapses. If possible, I don't want this to be unnecessarily gory, show bleeding. And any part of the tree that touches the blood immediately becomes blighted. As the hound is slain, Jacob, Luke, and Ava arrive. Aram stands up and turns, only looking to make sure they are not a threat. He is more preoccupied with his sword. It is now somewhat dull, and it's been broken near the hilt, with no sign of any other part of the blade anywhere. There's a moment of silence, as each person takes in the situation. Ava stares at Aram. Jacob looks at the whole situation. Luke immediately goes to check on Jasper, and Aram just stares at his sword. The silence is broken by Jasper, because of course it is. I actually have that written in the script. Jasper, well, that's inconvenient. Jasper goes to investigate the ruined carriage. On the bright side, it will definitely make one of the more interesting incident reports I have to write. Luke, are you all right? Were you hurt? Jasper, I'm fine. Nothing like almost being crushed by a falling tree and a giant wolf to start your day, right? Ava moves quickly. Ava quickly moves past Jacob, who is in turn follows her. She immediately starts looking Erm over, checking for injuries. His bruising in his ribs has gotten worse, but he doesn't seem to notice. She examines him and then immediately begins pulling out some herbs and puts them in a bottle with water, shaking it vigorously. Jacob, in the meantime, moves over, facing Erm directly. Jacob, you are Erm, I take it. Erm doesn't respond, as he is lost trying to solve the mystery of his broken sword. Ava's about to step closer to him when Jacob grabs her shoulder, pointing the logging axe at him. Jacob, growling, answer me, boy. Who are you? Erm is suddenly alert and looking over at Jacob, sizing him up. Ava, Dad, please, he saved my life. Erm seems to see something in Jacob and glances between Ava and him once before turning to face Jacob fully. I am called Erm. Your daughter has cared for me in my time of injury. Her skill is commendable. Jacob and Ava look at each other. Jacob lowers his axe. Jacob, somewhat off guard. And I must thank you for saving my daughter's life. Erm, I am a soldier. I did my job, which in this case included saving Ava. I need to return to my home, so as soon as I can be released, it would be of utmost benefit to me. I won't keep going. I think that that's a decent place to stop. There's a little bit more of them talking, but you get the general gist.
Hello.
Hello, Joel.
I'm assuming that is Joel who just joined.
Yep, he's
the fact that
he's working on coming in. While he's doing that, yeah, I did not hear Jasper's stuff afterward the last time I read it. Hilarious.
Love it. I really like Jasper as a character.
Yeah, he's kind of jumping out into the... Hey, Joel, what's up, man? Good to see you. He's kind of jumping out into the forefront as a very interesting character overall. So...
You should absolutely take my fiance's advice from last time and start working towards a romance there. Super subtle, not a thing, not in the forefront whatsoever. Just there.
Yeah.
Basically it.
Exactly.
If people are shipping your characters, you're doing a good job.
Jasper.
Yeah. Jasper and with the Ava or
Ava.
Between Jasper and Ava.
Yep.
I feel like Jasper is definitely more into her than she is him.
Right now, yeah.
Just had to be a contrarian.
Neither of them have to be into each other at all in any way, shape, or form. Just banter. See ya.
Okay. Ava's
just banter. Like, I'm not even saying chemistry. Just like have it there as an option.
Yeah, I might. We'll see. I can't make promises only because
of course.
I know, like, they're about to functionally leave the country. I'm not.
Yes.
They might even leave the planet.
Long distance is a thing.
What would end up happening? the way I would make this, I would have to make that work. Would be I would have to have Ava and Erm's journey and Jasper in the villages story.
Yeah.
Isn't that what I suggested you do anyway?
Yes, it was sort of. Not in exactly as many words, but yes, that's what you suggested. But the trouble that I'm coming up with is because of I only have Erm and Ava's journey. I have no idea what's going on back at home.
You can honestly...
he's doing all the side quests.
Hold on.
He's doing...
You could absolutely, in this format that you're doing, which is sort of an anime / shorter one season series, more than likely, kind of show. You can totally do a Scouring of the Shire type episode, where essentially you have an entire episode dedicated to Jasper and everything that went down while they were gone toward the very end of the show before you get your full finale.
Ooh, and he starts out as like the bumbling idiot. Whenever he come back, he's like hardened and tough, but still kind of has his heart. And
That's totally an
He has
option.
charm, but he has personality to back it up this time.
Scouring of the Shire idea rules. Absolutely, 100%.
I feel like though it needs needs some
before the
build up.
2-part finale.
I feel like it could use some build up though. Like you could have little episodes to begin that are kind of like sweet little stories with Jasper going and like helping. Oh, not like to the
Nope. Just the like third to last episode or fourth to last episode before you get the like big
It's
final
your deep
stuff
breath
happening in the
before
last
the
2 or 3
plunge. Yeah,
episodes.
it's your deep breath
Exactly.
before the plunge. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's an idea.
Yep.
And something that would absolutely fit within the structure of what you're already doing.
Yep.
So just an idea to keep in your back pocket. But yeah, no, I'm really loving that. Any more feedback for Brendan? Joel, do you mind going last after Debbie? Debbie has one to do. Okay, cool.
I was done first.
Awesome. I'm glad you were able to make it. Okay. So any more feedback for
Wait,
Brendan?
like 15, 20, 30 minutes?
We can do Joel for you if you want. That's fine. But for Brendan, anybody?
I know that this was a whole lot of action, but
oh, I love it though. You do it so well.
This is another one where I feel like the animation is going to be really crucial because you've got good bones with like the ideas for what is going down in the action scene, but this is one where the animation is going to be holding a lot of the weight in how the scene turns out.
The animation is going to be basically holding the entirety of the weight.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Like you've got good dialogue to throw in between the like fight bits.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm not sure if I like the Aram's like "Afraid are we? Good, you should be" line.
I like that.
I do too.
I want something there.
Especially with my extremely limited understanding of how anime works, that line feels very anime to me.
What was the line again?
Afraid are we? Good, you should be.
And it's just an interstitial piece of dialogue. Yes, you can.
It's an interstitial piece of dialogue, but I'm wondering if I need to. I'm wondering if it's too like villainous.
No, but
and
that's
maybe
what
I should replace it with something like so something to do with like knowing your place.
No, no, because demons don't have a place according to him.
It's showing how powerful he is.
Yes.
Like, he's more powerful than everyone else there, and he is something you should be afraid of, but he's good, so you don't need to be.
But we also don't know fully and completely that
like,
he's good
be not
at this
afraid,
point.
but like, if you're not human, you should be.
Yeah.
But even not knowing for sure if he's good, that line works because he is.
Right.
Like on a meta level, the line works.
Yeah. Okay. That helps. Thanks.
And you don't want to
go
go
about fear being wise. Yeah,
You also don't want to go more verbose than that because it's Aram. He's not supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like the only time he gets poetic is when he's essentially doing the angelic language scripture quoting thing. If he's just speaking in the common tongue, he needs to be a one note jock. You know, like that's what he is. Yeah.
Slightly older language.
Yes.
Slightly older.
Slightly archaic. Basically Thor from Thor 1 before he ever goes to Earth. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and very, very, but very to the point.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you are picking up that he's powerful, because the one thing I don't want to have happen is to get Worf affected.
Yes. All right.
Him what?
The Worf effect. Do you know what the Worf effect is?
Oh, Star Trek. Yeah. Right? No.
Yes, it refers to Star Trek. Yes, but the Worf effect is where you have a character who's supposed to be this really great fighter, really strong, really powerful, and then every instance you ever see him fighting, he gets his butt kicked.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because they have to raise the stakes somehow, so it's just easy to get the person who's the strong one and beat them up for a bit.
So
instead of going about it like defeating him in some other way, it's not physical.
Right. Oh, Aaron's
Yeah.
back. Okay.
Hey, Aaron.
Yeah.
Decided to jump back for a second.
Oh, the thing I was joining, it was a prayer, and it was a fairly short one.
Gotcha. Okay.
Group prayer.
But yeah, okay. So I'm okay. Thank you for helping me work that part.
Absolutely. Joel, can I prevail upon you to read some, since Debbie wants to go last / have a few extra minutes?
Absolutely.
All right.
I think that they heard you talking.
I'm just getting a drink, but I can still hear.
Okay.
That was not necessarily what she said. She was talking to siblings who were walking around here.
Oh, so do you want to go next?
Yeah, sorry.
Do you want to go next?
Okay, go for it.
Okay, all right, go for it.
Okay, so I haven't written like anything for it yet, and I don't have a name for it yet, but it is inspired by the song I Hear a Symphony by Cody Fry, which I will just send the lyrics in there.
Okay.
If you give me a moment.
Sure thing.
But basically the like magic system in here is based entirely around music, like kind of like you guys were talking about a little while ago, but I had this idea. Where, you know, like everything in the universe has a song, and if you learn like that song, you can like do magic. I have not fleshed it out any more than that. But I wanted magic and music to be very interconnected with each other.
Yep.
And so, like, the god is basically... Sorry.
It's okay.
Oh, my phone went off.
So it's bard magic.
It's what magic?
Sure. Bard.
Bard.
Yes.
And so, like, the god in this is, like, the great songwriter. And so everything is also connected back religiously, because it's all like God gave you a song to sing, and so that's why you're singing. And then one of the main characters has lost this. So they're like two main characters, because it's a romance, because obviously it is.
They usually work better.
Like guy in this.
He said romances usually work better with two people.
Yes, they do.
Generally.
But the guy, I think, I haven't exactly decided what his story is going to be, but he's like lost all of his passion and spark for music, and kind of playing with the theme that he is a like empty cage, like in the way that like a cage needs a bird and a bird needs a cage, and she's the bird and he's the cage, but he needs to be filled with life and song and be more than just pretty emptiness for him. And I'm thinking he's not necessarily disgraced, but like fallen out of popularity music prodigy, and he ended up like doing music only for like himself and attention, and fell out of like, no, God gave you a song and that's why you sing. And so then like he meets this girl who's like kind of manic pixie dream girl, but with an actual personality, and like kind of ray of sunshine personified. And through like knowing her, he's learning how to like reclaim knowing that song again. So like the lyrics, I used to hear a simple song, but now I hear a symphony. Like just growing in that. Yeah, like she's great. I have a name for her. Her name is Sonata. I don't have a name for him yet. I'm thinking her last name's gonna start with Ever, but I haven't figured out what I want afterward. And she comes from a big family. I'm thinking he doesn't, like he's either estranged from his parents, or they're dead, or something. Or like after fame, he just ignored them, or something of that kind. And then like he goes and ends up visiting her family. And again, like her mom also playing into like she's a songbird, like, oh, hey, like songbird has come back. Tress, like, have you finally found like a nest yet? Like she needs a home and a place and safety, which is what he's supposed to be. He just doesn't know that yet. Because that's what she wants. Like she wants to sing, but she needs someone to like protect her and guide her and give her a home while she does that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I have that I want to work on. But I don't know how to do all of those things as well as I hope I want them to be.
Right. Are you planning?
So can I ask? Hi, I'm a world builder. You've step into my
He's
domain.
marrying another world builder.
All right, let me ask you some questions. Okay, so
You've
you
been
mentioned
bantering with a world builder.
You've mentioned that you want there to be this song magic. The magic is tied to religion. Makes perfect sense. How common is magic? Now, that can be difficult, so let's compare magic to vehicles. Are we talking magic is a car where most people might be able to use it? Is magic a tank? Most people have heard of and know tanks exist, but most people won't see a tank in their life unless they go to a special place where there is a tank. Is it a spaceship where people know they exist, but most people don't feel the effects, and only one person might see it out of 1,000? Or is it like a Star Trek ship to people where nobody believes it actually exists? What are we thinking here?
So I don't think I can work with the vehicles, but going back to music, like a musical instrument is like the conduit for the magic, like in the same way that
So is musical ability, or is the magical ability as common as musical ability?
Yes, if you have any kind of musical ability, you can do music to like humming even, but again, you need to know the particular song to be able to do the magic, and so you do need to study it, like in the same way that you need to study music to be better at it, because they're linked. So if you're like a really good violinist, you are a really powerful magic user. So in the same way that like if you can sing songs at church, like that's about as much as the everyday person does, is like singing in a religious context. It's pretty common, but there are just different levels depending on the knowledge and study you have of it and the skill you have put into learning.
Very nice.
So more like cars.
Codex style. It's a codex style.
Sure.
So, I have a question. I have two questions. So, like, some people can play multiple instruments and some people can play more complicated instruments. Do they get more advanced magic? Cool. Do you have a term for what it's called when someone loses that?
Not yet. Again, I have not built up a lot of that world, so.
I don't know why in my head, when you were describing the story, I'm like, he lost the melody or something. That would be.
Yeah. Oh, another part I forgot to mention. I was thinking I would have them have fun hair colors as part of that magic. So like her hair is like gold.
Synesthesia.
Like,
someone needs synesthesia where like they can they like see it?
Yes, that would be amazing.
Cool. Oh, cool. What
yes,
if like
I know what that is.
Sweet. Well, yeah. Goodness, I'm thinking like oh goodness, not to be his self-insert, but like how would hearing loss affect that?
Yeah, like I think it would be something that you would essentially need magical accommodations for. Like it would take a lot more study because you can still play a musical instrument even if you can't hear the sound coming out. So they can still do magic. I was thinking about how would people like who are mute or like have lost their voice for other reasons do magic. Again, it kind of just depends. Like your physical disability is gonna affect your magical ability a lot of the times because you need to make music.
Hey, deaf boy, shush. So
I've been hate crimed.
I know you have. So okay, let me get actually a little bit meta for you for a moment. Generally speaking, when doing world building and this sort of thing, there are two kinds of ways to describe the world building. There's hard world building and there's soft world building. There can be hard. Incidentally, for magic systems, you get the exact same thing: hard magic system, soft magic system. Anything that is called
further to you, should you like.
Anything that is hard is described heavily and basically treated like a science.
Science!
Everything is laid out. Everything is clear. The rules are well established early on, and it's science, but called magic. Soft world building and soft magic systems tend to go more with feel than with rules.
Mysticism.
But soft magic systems still have rules. It's just how it's conveyed is through inference, subtlety, things like that. There are a couple of great Hello Future Me videos on soft magic system and soft world building. I would advise looking them up. But you, I think, have a great potential for a soft magic system here because it's based on music. Yes, people have to study, but the only rules you need to establish, I think you've already established. Music is based on what the thing you are interacting with is. So trees have their song. Plants might have a song that's associated with trees. You can do things with like, if you wanted to get technical and go hard magic system this way. Trees, tree music is in the key of C sharp major usually. And usually you want to do with carnivorous, or with deciduous trees, you want to do things in 3/4 time rather than 4/4 time. You can do stuff in 4/4 time in C sharp, but to have a better use of the song, you need it to be in C sharp and do 3/4 time while considering these particular melody lines whenever you are doing this, because you're doing improv basically with your magic, right? Unless you're going to have them be specific spells. That is the hard magic system version. The soft magic system version is he plays music and he feels the feeling of the music, and that is associated with the song of the trees.
All right. Can I give two brief points of reference? I need to compare notes with you another time because there is too much. I as Alex knows, have a whole world, fantasy world. It's actually more classic fantasy. It's my classic fantasy world.
Notes of Destiny.
Where music is magic. And so I have a whole system that is, it's hard on the surface and soft underneath. There's still a lot of mystery. But also, have you seen the movie La La Land?
I have, yes. Okay.
Just the romance beats without the ending. The ending's terrible to that movie. Let's just be honest. But the description of the relationship reminds me of La La Land. You can pull certain things from La La Land for your emotional beats. So I just wanted to mention that just because so good. We are coming up on 2 hours, 45 minutes. I really want to get to Joel's thing.
Of course.
And then we can wrap. It's all good. But I just wanted to make sure that we compare notes later at some point, Debbie. All right. So, Joel.
Yes.
Do you have a section that you have prepared or have an idea for that you want to do?
I have two sections that I've been debating on which one to do, and I was going to let you guys decide. Do we want some more world building info dump thing where the aliens get to meet the humans, or do we want an action scene?
Considering all the world builders are here, I'm guessing they're wanting the world building.
Yeah, I want the answer that.
So yeah, I think that would
Agreed.
probably be good. I'm good
All
with
right,
either.
so
yeah.
So this chapter is one I wrote and rewrote, and I think I got it right, and so I need some feedback on it. What has happened in the story is a group of mercenaries have been summoned. They were most of them were like sleeper agents, and they've all been summoned to New York. They've been told there is a meteor that's about to hit the city, and it's full of nanites that are going to turn people into zombies. They've met, a spaceship landed and several aliens got out, and they are here to warn everyone. This is right after the Wasabi chapter, by the way, if you were there for that last time. The aliens are going to be running They're going to be running A, but this chapter explains that in a little more detail, so you wouldn't have known that yet. This is the morning after they met the aliens, and I guess I'll just start. Ladies first, Dirk, a former Navy SEAL, said, gesturing to the breakfast buffet. He had been with LoomCorp for several years before dropping into sleeper status. He still got a paycheck each month, but he only had to do a single training session every quarter. Like everyone else, he had been activated for this mission. Sorry, let me adjust my thing here. It's tripping me up. Zell looked around and cocked her head. A lady is a female human. Do you mean me? She was a tall female with dark orange fur and a ponytail held in place by small braids that started behind her ears. She and Tabs, a male Astari, both assigned to his squad. Yeah, where I'm from, it's polite to let women go first. His southern accent, usually viewed as charming, seemed to be confusing Zell to whether or not he was sincere. Then I thank you, Zell said, stepping ahead of him in line. Last week, I was welding up here. Today, I'm having breakfast with an alien. What a life. Stripes, she said. What? Our females are called stripes. She smiled, a warm smile, and I'm sorry, I keep being out of place. The males are called bright colors. Oh, I should have told you this before. In the previous chapter, it mentioned that the males are all bright colors and the females are all dark colors. It's not really relevant, but that's where the term comes from. Dirk watched her fill 2 plates with everything on the buffet. She worked they have 4 arms too, by the way. She worked 2 sets of tongs at the same time with apparently no effort. She looks like she could pat her head, rub her tummy, scratch her nose, and tap her ear while chewing gum, he thought to himself. I noticed the shuttle was being unloaded again, he commented. Yes, it returned to our ship in the night for another run. She was trying to decide between coffee and juice. I believe it will make another run, so we may use the hangar space for training on the equipment we brought you. She poured a cup of straight cream. That gets added to the coffee. If you want milk, it's that one over there, he said. Oh, thank you. What is this white powder? Sugar. You put it in the coffee, too. Maybe I should watch you do it, she said, putting her cup down. They took a seat with the rest of Bravo team. Will you be fighting with us? Dirk asked. We will be your handlers, Zell explained between bites of French toast. We will be providing overwatch for both your squads and your individual your squad's individual actions as well as the bigger picture, Tab said. Tab, the other Astari, was eating on the far side of the table. He was a smaller male with bright yellow fur and was rather quiet this morning compared to last night. It had been explained to them that Zell and Tabs were on opposite sleep schedules. They would be swapping back and forth as needed. We will be handling communications between you and the rest of the squads, he continued. Also arranging transportation and backup as needed. But most importantly, we will be setting objectives, waypoints, and running interference on any nanites that you come in contact with. Yeah, I was wondering about that, Mel said, a former Army Ranger who had joined Luke Kerr after his Army career. He had worked with Dirk several times and had been put into Bravo team. When we're out there, are we going to be wearing some sort of hazmat suit? Kit said there was no cure for this. So what's the procedure if we get one of those things on us? We are going to make a custom uniform for each of you that will protect against bites. There is a helmet that will regulate airflow. Only those working closest to the impact site will need it. Zell poked at her egg. She was surprised when the yolk broke and began running down her toast. She looked up questioningly at Mel. Yeah, lots of people soak it up in the bread and eat it together, he reassured her. She tasted it and nodded, then continued explaining. Don't worry, we have a plan. She paused, making sure everyone was keeping up, and to have some bacon. It was the first thing they had eaten, and it was the favorite of all the Astari. You will be sent to the buildings in small groups to clear and look for survivors. The streets we will leave till night, when we can bring in our stompers. We should be able to contain and clear the city in just a few days. Across the room, a door slammed. Fox stomped his way across the hangar. He's a human, by the way. Across the hangar, fuming. They're at it again, Tabs whispered, inspecting a sausage link. He bit a small bite just to taste it, then ate it all in a single bite. He grabbed several more, gesturing to Zell to try some. It's like watching your parents fight. Oh, this is good, she said. The blue one with the tail chased after Fox. She caught up with him and pointed back to the door, pleading with her eyes. And she's stuck in the middle again, Zell added. Wait, he's married to the captain? Dirk asked. No one had mentioned anything about this before. No, but things might be better if he was her mate, Zell giggled. They both might calm down. Zell, Tabs hissed, trying not to smile. Hammer met Fox and continued towards the breakfast line. Another human. My friend, what can be wrong? Hammer asked in his thick accent. Fox answered in Sepwanian and growling out his words. Well, they're stopping the other 9. The blue-eyed alien nodded and agreed with Hammer. Fox began arguing in the alien language. Thing I should have mentioned before, I guess. Fox came off the spaceship, and everyone was like, why is there a human on the spaceship? And no one has heard the blue one talk yet. Hammer waited for Fox to finish, then replied, patting him on his shoulder. But Fox, my friend, what will happen if they did that? What happens if the Zarfonians find out that Earth is not what we have made them think it is? I'm going with the wrong accent. I'm sorry. When they see the Astari have been hiding us, when they discover where their champions are from. He's supposed to have a Russian accent, and for some reason I keep going Irish. I'm sorry. Fox didn't have an answer, but the blue one gestured back and forth between Hammer and the door in the room behind them. I just hate that we're letting hundreds of people die when we could stop it, Fox said in a defeated groan. Our starry friends have spent years hiding our world from them, Hammer continued. I'm not going to try the accent anymore. They believe it is inhabited by an undeveloped species. When we let this meteor hit and then destroy the other 9, they will see Earth is strong. They will not bother us for many years. If we shoot down the first one, they will know that the Astari are helping us. They will think Earth is strategic and launch a large attack. I'm sorry, guys, I can't talk. Now come and eat with me. There is much food. Is good. I don't have an appetite, Fox said. He started to shuffle away. The blue one pulled on his sleeve and gestured towards the food. All right, I'll show you an Earth breakfast, he said to her, seeming to cheer up. I think you like the bacon and sausage best. 9 what? Mel whispered, turning back to Zell. 9 other meteors. They're all targeting major cities on your world. They will all hit within a few days. She watched Dirk spread grape jam on half a biscuit and then butter and honey on the other. He cut a piece of each for her to try. Once your governments are satisfied we are telling the truth, they will stop the others. How? Your governments will shoot their nuclear weapons at them. She tried the honey and nodded her approval. And that'll work? It should. We have provided slight modifications so the rockets will work in space. They will be zapped like a Grandy Womp. She slammed her hand into her fist for emphasis. Tabs burst out laughing, so hard that the waffle fell off his fork into his drink. The humans all seemed confused. It's an insect that uses an electrical charge to stun its prey, Tabs explained. So there's a way to stop these things, and we aren't using it? We're letting the first one hit, Dirk confirmed. Because we are trying to keep our involvement secret from the Zarthonians. She made a face as she tried the jam and picked up another sausage. Who are the Zarthonians? Will asked. They are the ones that sent the nanites. They are the real enemy. This is a probe, a test of Earth's strengths. The nanites will report back. What would happen if we had not warned you? We would have thought it was some sort of virus. The nanites would spread like a plague, I guess. We would eventually take them out. We would waste a lot of time before we figured out it wasn't a pandemic. Zell looked thoughtful for a second, looking up the new word. Then she smiled and nodded. Exactly. The world's defenses would be weak after fighting them off. If we do this, they will think humans are strong and clever. We will show them Earth can defend itself. Then they will think twice about attacking. Zell patted Dirk's arm and picked up a donut with multicolored sprinkles. Now, tell me of this one. The end.
Okay. I kind of understand what's going on. Kind of. This is like an alien political drama, and I'm assuming the Xanthites are trying to colonize places. And what is it? The Istari?
Astari.
Astari. What's their goal?
So
he did that in the last one a little bit. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I think I spelled this out in an earlier one. You weren't here for that one. The Astari.
Basically, they were beaten, right? They were beaten, and by these bad guys. Yeah.
Yeah, they were being came to Earth and recruited humans to come fight with them. That's where Fox and Hammer came from. And the humans came and helped them fight, and in return, they're coming to Earth to help stop the attack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I also just noticed that whole thing where the aliens liked bacon, and it's like, I guess that's. In some ways, it's a kind of a symbol of them being. I guess. You're kind of showing them being like us, you could say, and like everyone talks about how you like bacon. I mean,
so these ones are carnivores. And you know she didn't like the jam.
No,
there's another group. There's another group called the Quarkins, which are smaller, and they don't like the meat as much. They love everything like blueberries and strawberries and stuff like that.
So
hey guys,
the thing that he did.
I hate to do this, but I have to cut out because I've still got a 30-minute drive home.
You're good, man.
So right. great job, Joel. Still loving it.
Thank you.
Look forward to reading more of it, but
you
gotta cut out. Bye, guys.
All right, Alex. Yeah, we will see you guys. So,
as I should also probably get to bed. I gotta work tomorrow and do a bunch of stuff.
All right.
A new job, so
yep.
Yeah, it's fun, and Aaron and I will work on some stuff. Aaron, Maiden's Child. I want to bring that up with you later.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, we'll see you then.
Bye.
Yeah.
So yeah, great stuff like usual. I love all the breakfast stuff. That's just awesome and hilarious, and the things that you do with the action further in, especially the hospital stuff and whatever else, like that's all great, and I'm excited to get to that with these guys too. I just know that they really like that side of the story because it's full of action and everything else. It's like you said, you got the political drama side, Aaron, but there's also like Halo. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, you don't even know. So the blue one, she's mute.
Mm-hmm.
She has an implant that lets her transmit on radio waves. So no one without a receiver can hear her. So for the first bit, she's going around and no one can hear her. And then when she tries to talk to someone, like there's a bit where she's texting to a tablet. And the person's like, what are you talking about? Why are you doing this? And her tablet just keeps dinging and she's ignoring it. And when she finally looks at it, she's like, there's the whole other half of the conversation. But I added the argument in because it was too boring. It was too just talking back and forth and explaining things. And I felt like the argument added a little tension.
Yes.
I can't do a Russian accent. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I totally. But having it come out in an argument, I thought might make it a little more interesting.
First defense plan, yeah. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, that I don't know. Yeah, definitely I got at least one side of the argument, which was the side that ultimately won. It's the plan. I got the plan and it kind of made sense. Um,
So the other side of the argument is we need to stop them all. Why are we letting anyone die
mhm.
and turn into zombies? Where when we can stop it, and they're like, "Well, you heard the plan." But so the Oxus thing is, he feels like he has to save every life possible, and one of the lines later is he only sees the person in front of him, and he has to save that person.
Right.
He can't. He struggles seeing the big picture.
Brendan,
That's his.
Brendan, did you have anything for Joel?
When we get into sci-fi, we get out of my depth.
Yeah, I understand.
I like the way you are showing and kind of telling, both through dialogue and through little actions. Like, the aliens don't know how coffee works. I think it would be funny if we see the after effects of an alien on coffee because... Okay, so... Sorry, I'm going to tangent for a second, but it'll make sense. Somebody pointed out that, like, we eat what are considered, like, poisonous plants because we like the sensation of our mouths being on fire, which is ridiculous, but, like, work with me here.
Yeah.
So their line is because dwarves in, like, fantasy tend to be resistant to poison, dwarvish food should be insanely spicy because they would go and find all of these plants that are, like, poisonous and eat them for fun, right? And so we think about that biological whatever. I think it's sort of cliche, but it would be really funny to have an alien that does not have access to caffeine suddenly get access to caffeine.
Yes, I like that idea.
And just like, I can see sound. Well, maybe not. You get the idea. Wait a minute. Like, they start talking way faster or something. It's like, what's with him? What did you do? But I've never seen him like this. And it takes them forever to figure out, oh, he had a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Or something. Anyway.
Or you could have the entire adverse effect where it's sleeping pills to them.
Or that. Or that.
Oh boy.
Anyway, my point is that whole physiological difference. Yeah, you've got the cultural difference down right there.
So,
but I'm wondering about physiological, and so that's the only thing that I'm interested in.
Differences, I'll tell you, and I've hinted at the sleeping thing on this chapter, but their planet is on a 14-hour cycle. So they sleep twice as often as us, and they have no endurance. That's why they wanted humans to fight, because after 8 hours, they just conk out. and they can't push themselves. They don't have the natural adrenaline to keep going like we do. So that's why they like humans, because we could just push ourselves and keep going. The other, like, they're very, very fast in a sprint, but they can't do a marathon.
We can talk more. I'm going to go ahead and wrap. One thing for everyone listening who's part of the Brood that I wanted to announce earlier, but it's very, I'll announce it in the Brood proper at some point as well. But I'm launching full hard into my audiobook business, and I'm looking to do a long-term audiobook situation for anyone who wants to, basically page by page, day by day. You get a page a day, and you get it for free if you're a member of the Brood. And basically just trying to get my name out there. But also, if you want to hire me, I actually did have someone from the Brood hire me full price for an audiobook recently, so that was cool too, and he's gonna get it way sooner as a result. But basically, yeah, I've done a bunch recently. I've got a new mic and things are going really well with that, and I'm excited to do more of it. So anyone who has something that they're ready to publish or is published and they want to go with an audiobook, short form, long form, whatever, you got the rights to it. If you want it, if you want to do a split, that's fine. I'd be willing to do that, whatever works. Otherwise, we can talk, pricing and stuff, whatever. But I really appreciate it. Just wanted to announce that I'm already doing it for Ian Wilson, and I'd love to do some for TK, especially. Honestly, I haven't told her that yet, and Abigail. So, anyone else? Totally hit me up. Let me know. Anyway, be your family's bard. Do not turn to the right or to the left, and the Lord will be with you wherever you go. We'll see you next time in the trenches on Poets at War.
This is the Broodcast, Inkling-style Discord chat, last Friday of every month. To join, go to joshuadavidling.com/Discord.